There's one thing I want you to do for me.
What?
Come here.
What?
Win. Win.
What are we waiting for? Take this!
What is going on, EoP sports fans? It's Wednesday night. It's 8:30. It's time for EoP. I'm Big Al.
And I'm Joey Sheeran.
We got a special guest in the house, the Philly sports guys in the house. What's going on, Jamie?
Hey, guys. Thank you for having me. I appreciate
Hell
being
yeah.
here.
Oh, man, anytime. We love having you here, guys. If you don't know who he is, get out from under the rock you live on or you live under because he might look a little different, not have the full paint regalia, maybe not the shoulder pads, but he still is the Philly sports guy. And you could hear him do his own podcast and everything on his pages at the Philly Sports Guy on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, you'll find him there. I don't know. He doesn't have like a belt with like 12 phones on him at one time. Like I'm waiting for like this Batman style utility belt one day for PSG, but he'll have it one day. But he is on there all the time. You can't watch an Eagles game, a Phillies game if he's there in his paint. He is being seen. Sixers, you name it. Actually, even did you do the frisbee game at one point? I saw it.
Yep, the Phoenix. I currently am the hype guy for the new cornhole team, the Bell Ringers.
Definitely want to hear about that.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun. I mean, so I'm everywhere. I wound up at an MMA event the other day.
I saw that.
So,
Oh, where were you at for that one?
that was over at the Sheet Metals Union.
Okay, that's cool.
So it was my first MMA event ever. It was.
Were you painted up for that?
So I had done a charity thing with O'Hara High School that day.
I saw you that,
and I just remained painted up. I was like, I'll go out, have a quick drink, and then go down there. And of course, I forgot all about the fact that there was a whole bunch of Swifties in town. So it took a lot longer to get there from. So I wound up showing up late, and they waited for me.
That's cool.
Oh, that's cool.
That's really cool.
The Art of War MMA. It's
we know Art of War.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was my first time going. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was where Pfeiffer started?
Pfeiffer started, yeah.
Joey Pfeiffer from Drexel Hill is now UFC now.
Yep.
He started there. We used to catch him down at the 2300 arena.
Mm-hmm.
But guys, I want to welcome into EoP Live. We're going to be talking to Jamie, the Philly sports guy, whatever is easiest for you to remember.
Not to cut you off, but I do want to say, Jamie, you really are everywhere. Like, I am surprised that like Madden hasn't like reached out to you to get an image, like the characteristic of you to throw in like the Eagles like stadium in the game or something. Like that should be the next step.
Nowadays, you can totally do that.
You're freaking everywhere. And I'll be honest with you, like we've known each other for years. You've been in and out of the show in our old studio in Ridley Park, and to see you, just climb the ladder. I mean, even at the NFL draft, they're looking for you. They're looking for you to get you on screen because you are the heart of the Eagle fan there. Like you are going above and beyond, and you do bring it every time. And knowing you for how long we've done and seeing you climb that, I'm speaking for us. Like we're like proud of you that you have reached this level so far. I mean, I think it's really, really cool.
It's funny because you work so hard, and everybody can make a joke of it. Listen, there's nobody who gets the joke better than me. You know what I mean? I tell everybody all the time, if you paint your face for a living, you better get the joke.
Yeah.
It doesn't make me a better fan than anybody else. You know what I mean? And that's really, and ultimately, that's what it's all about. It's all about everybody else. I think about going to games without the face paint sometimes, and I think about the kid who is there searching me out to find me, to see me without the face paint.
Yeah.
And I think about how that kid feels and realize that I can't stop doing it.
You ever get kids like stop and say like at a Phillies game, if you're not in full paint, they look at you like, I know this guy. I know this guy. This is where I can't remember where I put my finger on it.
It's the adults now.
Okay.
I literally today I went to Applebee's. So I didn't get a chance to go get my kids to go get cards for them.
Sure.
So I took them out, the kids and my ex out to dinner at Applebee's. And we had a great dinner, no problems whatsoever. Guy keeps walking back and forth. He keeps looking at me kind of funny. And then he finally realizes, he's like, "You're the guy." He said, I've been walking by
That's
you.
what he
Ben,"
tells
you
the
know,
ladies.
and it's like, yeah, you're that guy. And you look so different without the face paint. And it's just the mohawk kind of gives it
Sure.
away a little bit. If it was standing up, I'm sure a lot more people would
Yeah.
recognize. But
Yeah.
so I do get that. Usually with kids, they hear the voice and they keep looking at me, but they don't know.
Sure.
And it's not until I say, what's up, everybody, or something like that.
I'd mess with them. I wait from the walk away. Nah, that's not me. They walk away like, oh yeah, just like dropping oh yeah, and I'm just
exactly.
like,
You'd be like, yeah, and then they know right away. But it is a lot of fun, and I do, I appreciate, because I would have thought,
Sure,
5 years
absolutely.
ago that it would have gotten to this.
Yeah.
We're sitting at a bar, Dolan's talking to you, Jamie, and like you telling us what you're doing, and then like became friends over it, and then like people are like, oh, do you know this guy? I'm like, I know him before he was the guy.
I know him as Jamie.
Yeah.
Jamie when he only would do that, the mohawk every once in a while,
Yeah.
not all the time. It really is it's been amazing, and I got to, I really have to appreciate everybody who follows me, because that's what helps this.
Yeah.
Every time I think, maybe I should just stop this and go out and get like a normal real job, somebody sends me some type of letter, or just says, hey, this means so much to me. And it's like, it's unreal to me, because it's like, I don't get that. Like, it's just, everybody says that I'm famous, and I'm like, no, I'm not famous. But that in their minds it is.
Well,
and when it
listen,
comes
But
to
you're
the
on like
kids-
Monday Night Football and these primetime games more than the head coaches are.
you made a commercial during the Super Bowl. You forget this.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that was kind of a surprise too. I didn't expect that's where it was going to wind up at. Even
Did
at
they
the
tell
game-
you, like, did they come to you and say, hey, listen, we're going to be using your likeness or anything at one point? Or
They didn't tell me that it was going to be a Super Bowl commercial.
okay,
I mean, I
Wow.
did get paid for that spot,
okay,
but it was just literally it was a picture, and if you blink your eye, you miss
Mhm.
it.
sure. I wasn't sure if that's how they got away with it. Like it was too quick or
But
something.
actually, because it was me that got paid, and the girl who took the picture got paid.
Okay.
Okay.
So I mean,
The photographer. Okay.
yeah, and ultimately there was a lot of different photographers and people that got paid in that ad
It
specifically.
was Bear, right? The Bear
Bear
Aspirin.
Aspirin.
Yeah.
But who
Did they just reach out to you? Go, hey, this is Bear Aspirin.
one of their agents did.
Okay.
Yeah, just an agency said, hey, we're looking for this, and these are the two pictures that we want to use, and if they choose one, you get paid. And I'm
Now,
like,
Nice.
now speaking of the Super Bowl, we all saw the video of you out there in Arizona and Vince and his business partner, and they for all your hard work got you a ticket for the Super Bowl. You had no idea about that at all.
no,
That's
no.
awesome.
Actually, I literally
I did right before you did. I got a call. I'll be honest with you. Vince did message me. He goes,
Okay.
he told me, he goes, listen, we're doing something for him. Get ready to know, like, so we can help. Like,
yeah, I'll be honest. I wish, and of course, I gave the camera to somebody else, which I'm always right here with the camera, and I gave it to somebody else, and it was far away, and it was really difficult to hear. I wish it was a little bit closer, because I mean, obviously, I was surprised. I was like, "What's going on?" Like, you just, I'd been saving my money up,
Yeah.
because I needed to buy a ticket, and I was gonna. How do I get to wherever it is that I want to go? And then they gifted me a ticket, and of course, it just so happens to be right next to Malcolm Jenkins.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
No kidding.
Yeah, so it was
Holy
like,
crap.
Can I ask you a question? Did it work out like this? Did you sit down and Malcolm Jones goes PSG? I feel like that would happen more than you go Malcolm Jenkins.
no, but he's like, I got to take a picture with you,
That's cool.
and then I'm like, well, if you're gonna take one, so am I.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Of
It's
course.
just, it's kind of, they know who I am. Like Kelsey actually now, like he knows me because he's seen me in 3 and 4 different, different ways.
Sure.
He saw me at the Phillies at the World Series.
Right.
He's seen me now at a basketball game.
Right.
As he's walking by, he gave me a quick fist bump. You know what I mean?
You can also Trav.
Yeah, so yeah. They should think that was who's the artist? Spectre.
Yeah.
I mean, he has the picture.
Jordan Spector.
Jordan. They should have a picture of him picking up the Fanatic
Yes.
and hugging him. They should
Yeah.
do that with you and him.
That'd be cool.
Kelsey
Well,
picking
and
it.
that's what happened. That's what happened at the draft. At the draft, he came out, and everybody, like the seas, like just converged, and he like pushed through everybody and gave me one of those bear hugs.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Literally, he like pushed through and hugged me. It was like
Did you do some shots with him?
Ooh.
I didn't because
Yeah.
he wasn't around that long, so he had his beer. he
Yeah,
drank
so I'm
that
drinking a
and
beer
stuff
next
like
to
that.
you. Yeah.
And I was too busy trying to get all the content I could. You know, it was like I knew that when he came out, when Carter came out, I was going to get the first Eagles chant. You know what I mean? And I knew, like the video that I had, you knew it was like there was so much going on.
Oh, of course.
You know what I mean? So it's like, hey, I need you to do an Eagles chant. Let's go. He's like, what? You know what I mean? I'm like, oh yeah, I know. You got so much happening. Hey, and he picked right on up.
That's so cool.
So,
yeah, man, you do a bang up job.
And as I was about to say, kind of what you led into, I was like, and it's hard to do what we do, but you have to be the guy and the camera guy. Like you don't have a guy.
Oh, yeah.
Because like I had to tell people, like, there's nobody following this guy around. Like he's doing this by himself. It's all from a phone or a camera or something.
In my hand.
Yeah, he's his own selfie stick, for lack of better words. Like, yeah.
And of course, you don't want to fanboy out either when like Jason Kelsey comes up to you or Jalen Carter's walking by.
No, but you have to pick your moments.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So like I did with the video I did with him, he said his hellos, we did his quick interview and stuff like that. We're all sitting there kind of waiting.
Yeah.
Let me take this 15 seconds. And that's the beauty of what it is that I do, because it's only 15 seconds at time. They know I'm going to get through it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And it's done. And that video got 800,000 views on
badass.
TikTok alone, just because he's in the background.
Sure.
Really, that's all it is. It's
Sure.
him in the background.
It's the things you never expect, I always say. They do well like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But I got asked, Sports Illustrated and Amazon Prime all wanted to use my video of me and
cool.
Jalen Carter doing the Eagles chant.
How do they get a hold of you? Like these, like Bear Aspirin?
Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
Instagram.
Wow.
That's the way. And I've had to learn how to read my Instagram
Yeah.
messages.
Make
because
sure
I-
you check the
By the
messages,
way,
checking
is
the
annoying
requests.
because like if somebody like does like a story and they tag you in it or they tag you in a picture or something, it says somebody messaged you, and then like because I use where the Meta dashboard like for use Facebook and Instagram, we look at it, but it's like, oh, you have 10 messages. I'm like, how did I miss these messages? It was just somebody tagged you in it. It's annoying. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
not like a direct message. Hey, this is
Right.
PSG looking to do something here, but just wanted to point that out. Fix that, Meta.
Yeah.
But
that whole draft was amazing. It just like even it's funny because you said that the camera seems to find me. The DeAndre Swift trade, I
Mhm.
knew nothing about. Here comes a camera guy. I'm sitting there and I'm on my phone. You know what I mean? And I'm doing something.
I was gonna say I
Camera guy comes right to me. Red light goes on. Now I know right away what's going on, and I'm like, I literally put my phone down and I just did my normal speech. Like, yeah, we got this. We own this draft. Whatever. I have no clue what's.
Oh,
happening.
you didn't know when you were saying that?
No.
I'll give you credit because I was working the post that day. We posted about DeAndre Swift and we were doing all that stuff. Me and Joe were going back and forth. And when we found out about it, we were sitting there talking. I saw you pop up on the TV because I had it on my side. I didn't know. I thought you knew.
No clue whatsoever. And so right after that, there's a kid who's doing kind of similar stuff that I am, and he's there and he's like, "Hey, I got a special news bulletin or whatever that DeAndre Swift just got traded to these." And I'm like, really? So that's why the camera was in my face.
That's awesome.
Like I had no clue. But
I knew that.
when I told the camera guy, when I asked the camera guy about it, he's like, listen, if we need a shot, we go to you. There's nobody else.
I
We
can
go to you.
I can honestly say, watching the entire draft as much as I
Awesome.
was, and remember when we were doing day 1 and 2, I was like glued to my screens because we were doing the live draft coverage. Day 3, I was more paying attention to the TV itself. But I can honestly say at least a half a dozen times I saw you, and that was not paying attention to that screen that much for the first 2 nights. So, yeah, I look at you say it's about others, and that's great and all that, but you do represent the brand.
I
You
thought it
know?
was funny when the guy from the score came up to you too,
I
and
was-
you're like, you guys are on my homepage.
well, that's exactly it because he's like, because he had a big score thing on his show.
Yeah.
Like, what do you work for Score? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I actually use you guys. You're the ones that I use
Yeah.
to check all my scores and stuff like that. So, and it's like that's an
And they
easy
probably
commercial for them.
use that big time. Like, oh, even the Philly sports guy checks the score,
Well, I'm waiting for them to reach out to me. I am available. It's like, so you need somebody to do some marketing for Score. I can do that.
We're gonna have to clip this out and get
Exactly.
get it right over to him.
But
Yeah.
It really has been an amazing amount of fun. I love being there, and I love being there with the fans.
Yeah.
Because the fans, and it's so funny because even the ones that don't like me, you know what I mean?
Do you have more fun with the ones that don't like you? Because I saw one of your more recent, I won't use the name of the place. You know what I'm talking about.
Very recently,
and I was like,
and that guy, and actually, they're a great podcast. You know what I mean? I'll actually speak to it. It's one guy who actually likes to yank my chain, and you know what? He has to do it every time, and he goes for the same way. Hey, listen, well, you're getting it for free. Oh, am I? Am I getting it for free? I work my balls off to get all this stuff.
Time is money.
You know what
Your
I mean?
time is money. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like I
don't even know who this is. This is news to me.
Yeah, this is.
Well, we'll talk about it later.
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, but it's
nobody that we would
Right,
probably
right,
even know.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, and actually, I think they're friends of the show, so it's not.
Oh, okay.
they followed us and commented in the past. On
Okay.
us.
So, but it's just the one guy, but it's the other fans, the fans from away cities.
Do you think
too.
more times people like that, the ones that, not the away people, they're just, we hate Philly, so we're going to come after you. Like, but the ones that are here who every time your face pops up and here's this guy again or whatever, is that more jealousy? And not so much jealousy, like they just think this is such an easy, like,
So
the guy trying to get it. Like, I guess it is
there
jealousy.
there are very hateful people out there.
Oh yeah, well we know that.
Sure.
We know that very well.
Oh yeah.
I have, it was funny. I was hanging out with Natalie Aguilar, who, just hanging with her for a little bit, just kind of getting some of the things that she has to go through in comparison to what I have to go through. Because I'm a guy, I shake it off. It's not like a big deal for me. It's like, oh, I got thick skin, I can take it. However, there's been, I had to block my first person.
Really?
Really? Hey, hold on. Oh, this is the first time you blocked, and all the time you've been doing this.
All the time I've been doing this, it's the first time I actually had to block somebody.
I'm surprised it took this long.
We know it. So
We've blocked some people because it got out of hand. Like for instance, when we first started and we were writing our articles, like me and Joe, neither one of us were writers, so we had to kind of learn our craft.
I still suck.
And we're sitting there, we're like, we don't have an editor, we don't have a production truck behind us. We're producing and filming and doing all this stuff and taking our notes and whatever else have you and tweeting out. And the guy oh, who's a moron who wrote this? It should be of, not on, or just like little grammatical errors or spelling errors. And at first we try killing it with, hey man, thanks for pointing that out.
Right.
And then it's like every time this guy are you just reading our articles to find the grammatical errors, or you're like, hey, and the one time we're like,
I could put names out right now.
Yeah, we're like
from 2 people who do it just on our post almost daily.
Yeah, and I'm like sitting there going why don't you become our editor? Go ahead.
Yeah.
And then it's crickets. It's silent. You know what I mean? Like you don't hear anything. And then again, the next time something comes out, they'll try to find. You have that ERA at 1.72. It's 1.71. I'm like, sorry, dude. And then those are the guys
changed overnight. What do you expect?
I let people go, but the one we're talking about now, where the guy was just being so nitpicky, I finally said, dude, I'm just tired of seeing his stuff. Block, move on.
Now
you just get tired of seeing the name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, you wake up and go, how negative can I be? That's my point. Why do you have to be so negative? Just scroll by.
Yeah.
Scroll by.
Yeah. And there, like I said, there's been most of the time I could deal with it, but one guy just, he was doing everything he could, I think, to get blocked. I mean, I can't imagine why he would do it. If you don't like me, that's fine.
Well, do you know why? Because it's the same guys that you see, not yourself, but get blocked by somebody else, and they take a screenshot and says, blocked by like on Twitter or
Yeah,
Not
something.
this guy. This guy specifically, the one guy that I have,
The
one
one
guy
we were
that I
talking about or
blocked.
somebody different.
One
Okay.
guy I blocked. He was literally putting out libelous statements.
Oh
Okay.
wow.
Yeah, and you know, it's like especially with what I do, I like certain things are trigger words for people, you know, and because there's other people out there that do different things. But that's why I did like with the Boston guy and the way that they were cursing me, I put on Instagram. I
Yeah.
was just like I put that out there, not really to bash on the guy, but more because of the stuff we're talking about with bullying. You know, it's a form of bullying, and I'm not going to take it from a bully.
Yeah.
And that was one of the nicer ones.
And
that I
especially when
just-
you're on this, like, listen, that's what we do. We're a social media presence. Like, we don't have a TV or radio network or something. We have to work off of those platforms. And yeah, there's a lot of people who are just bitter, angry little people who have nothing better to do but wake up in the morning and find out, you know what, I don't like Joe's post. I'm gonna just try to knock him
Right.
down. Like, and like we've blocked people for saying some pretty heinous things. Joe put up an opinion piece. This was about 2 years ago. Opinion just post. It wasn't like an article or anything about if I'm trying to remember, it was a Sixers thing about a possible trade. If this and it was listen, Joe even admitted he said it. This is a long shot, but X, Y, and Z could if X, Y, and Z could happen, that could be amazing. And this guy goes off. You're an F in this. You're a moron. I said, all right. What happened to like, nah, you're wrong, dude. Like just being wrong. Like, and even if you say go F yourself, I don't even block you then. But when it's every other post, like we had like this thing had like 20,000 comments. 11,000 of them were this guy calling him an idiot. I'm like, dude, Joe, just let him go. Get rid of him. He's not worth it. It's not helpful.
At that point, it's
Yeah. Let him go.
And like I do that when I'm on my TikTok live.
Mhm.
I'll go there and I give everybody. If you follow me, you know the rules. Can't say the same thing 3 times. You know, not in a row. Change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Say, hey, Eagles suck. You know, Eagles really suck. You know what I mean? I give it like, hey, listen, I understand.
Doesn't take much. Just change it up a little bit.
You can't. Don't copy paste.
Yeah,
paste,
don't be repetitive.
Copy paste.
Mhm.
And so at that point,
Really, people
even-
copy and paste their
oh my god,
their comments to the point to
they
nauseum.
try to they try to get under my skin. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It's it's amazing what people because then when you mute them, they make another account. They come back on. And they do the same thing over.
Is that kind of like a badge of honor though, when people go out of their way to make another account just so they can not be blocked by you?
But I don't block them. I just mute. So
That's blocking them.
really-
It's a form of block. I'm just
It
saying,
is.
like that they go out of their way to, like it's like the Howard Stern effect. Like more people tuned in to not like him, to see what he was going to say next,
Right.
versus the people who liked him.
Well, what is the muting? It's you can't see their stuff, but they can still go on your
So,
page.
like,
and
They
see
can
you.
go-
think of
so
like
when
face-
I mute
yeah.
them on a live,
Yeah.
that means they just can't speak on the live.
Okay.
You know
Like
what I mean?
Facebook, you can mute. Like say like you didn't want to see all my posts.
Right.
You're not unfriending me, but you can mute me so you don't see my posts or anything that I put up.
Okay.
And you could set like some of them like Facebook and Instagram, you could put
You,
on
like
a timer.
restrict people.
Got it.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
I
Say they
restrict-
can't comment, that kind of stuff.
I can't stand the people that write, "Hey, if you click on this ad, anybody who says freedom, I'm going to give them $5,000."
Oh yeah.
Every one of those people get restricted.
Oh,
Because
it's all
if you
spam.
block
Or they
them-
put the sexy girl picture, and then there's like 4,000 pictures of
Right.
of how to get money. Look at my PayPal. It's got $30,000 in the last day in it.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have to restrict them because if you block them, they just come back on to somebody else.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you restrict them, they think they're still sending.
Yeah, you're muted.
Oh, okay.
They think
That
you're-
makes sense.
They
So
think you're
they
seeing
get to
it.
see
Yeah.
the message, and you get to see it as a restriction, but nobody else sees it.
I literally spent when I went to Florida. I was sitting in the airport waiting to leave, and I spent an hour muting people. I went through like muting, unfriended a few, but like muting people that I haven't talked to in like 10 years, or I never cared to really be friends with in the beginning with. Like I just want to be. I like purged
Yeah.
a lot of knuckleheadness.
I'm at that problem now because now you're only allowed to have 5,000 friends on
Right.
Facebook.
Yeah.
And I am at 49, 45.
About to be maxed.
Third of them are arm wrestlers.
Okay.
I
Oh yeah, because that's the first time I met you when you were doing the arm wrestling thing.
So
Yeah.
it's like I still am involved, but
Mhm.
not to the level that I was before.
Yeah.
And I could probably start to block half of them. Not block, but at least remove them as friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny
It
because
just takes a lot of work.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's the thing. Is like
time consuming.
that was the only
absolutely.
reason I was doing it because there was nothing else I could do at the airport at this point.
Right.
It was like 6 in the morning. I'm like, I'm just gonna do this. And it's funny because like you'll go through your page and like, I have not even seen a post from this guy or girl in a year and a half. So why the hell am I even friends with them? Like, but real quick, guys, remind you that this show is brought to you by Sherry'sTickets.com. That's right, for those hard to get tickets, no hidden fees, sports, concerts, theaters, you name it. You go to Sherry'sTickets.com. Great prices, and you save an additional 10% off by using that great promo code EoP10. Go to Sherry'sTickets.com. It's family owned and operated since 1946. Guys, if you get yourselves in a little trouble or get hurt at work or hurt in a motor vehicle accident, personal injury, go to cherryinjurylaw.com or call Dave Cherry directly at 610-565-0300 and tell him EOP sent you because he will fight for your rights. But if you want to look for a good place to have a good time, because we're going to talk about Dolan shortly because we were there. We'll get into that conversation just from this last Saturday event.
And it's Jamie's living room.
It's Jamie's living room, right? Yeah, as he calls it. 24 East Sellers Avenue in Ridley Park. Go to Dolan's Bar, Quizzo music, great times, memorabilia. Always say you never know who's going to stop there. There's a good chance you might see Jamie there, but you never know who else is going to pop in there. And we're going to also talk about Philly sports trips in a minute because we're going to be talking about them a little longer. So I'll leave their ad to that moment. But real quick, guys, I want to jump in because there was no Fightins final today. So I want to talk about today's Phillies game, and then we're going to talk about the Phillies overall. So for those who didn't know, the Phillies played earlier today, their third game in San Fran, and they have been swept by the San Francisco Giants.
Disgraceful.
And swept so far in California if you count the Dodgers series.
0-9 on the season.
Yep.
They still have 2 more trips out to the left coast still.
Yeah. So
But just being swept by Gabe Kapler in itself, I mean, that's embarrassing.
well, and it's not just Gabe Kapler. And I posted on Twitter the other night that over the last 5 years, they've only won
Yeah.
6 out of 23 or whatever games that they played in. Or I mean, they played against San. They played against San Fran, and they've only won 2 games. Now that last night there was 2 games since then, so it added up more, and they were at like 14% winning percent. So whatever it is about San Fran that they can't get past, it's the Bay, the fog makes it harder for them. I don't know what it is, and this was before Gabe Kapler was out there. But whatever they do, the Phillies don't do well in San Francisco. But today was no real different for them. It started off not great. Taijuan Walker was the starting pitcher for today. Did not even get through the first inning before giving up 4 earned runs to the San Francisco Giants. And of course, the Phillies are working from behind 0-4, and we all had that little gulp in the bottom of our throats and thought, this was it. Now, the Phillies, they come back and they
fought back.
They fought back and they tied that game up 4-4. And here's another thing. Can I just put a little PSA out there, and maybe you guys will agree or disagree with this? But can the announcers or on radio, TV, whatever, pregame, postgame, during the game, doesn't matter, can they stop telling you how bad the pitcher is or how bad this batter's been doing? Because every time, they were talking about Springler, the guy who pitched today.
Mm-hmm.
He's let up 10 home runs in the last 30 innings pitched. He's back. His ERA is like 7.24 or something like that, and he's out there pitching lights out like until he got hurt. Every time they say this guy can't get a hit, he lets up a huge.
So you're talking about Tom and Rube?
I'm talking about all of them. I don't care. I've heard it on the radio and it happened. I've heard it on the TV and it's happened. I've heard it on the pregame, postgame on both radio and TV. But yeah, like they all are. And listen, you have to talk about it. And you look at the matchup and you're like, all right, this guy's been struggling. You got to mention it. So it's not their fault. But I feel like every time I hear that, the Phillies make them look bad. I mean, look good. Like it's ridiculous.
You know what's funny is the person who I thought would have kind of stepped up on the West Coast would have been Trey Turner, with him having being over there.
We're going to get to that in a second because it was a bad 8th inning for Gregory Soto, who let up 3 runs and took that tie back and made it 7-4 San Fran. Going in the 9th, 2 outs, bases loaded. One double could probably clear the bases.
Mm-hmm.
One good double, especially in that park, could probably clear the bases and tie the game up.
Low walls too in the outfield,
especially in the
real
Cove.
low. Yeah.
But Trey Turner, and I want to talk about that a little bit, comes up and strikes out. Game over, leaves the bases loaded. Runners in scoring position remain one of the biggest problems for the Phillies. And I think today, I will tell you right now.
I know last night they were 0 for 30.
They were 0 for 30 going in both games or just
No,
the whole game?
Yeah.
Just the game last night.
well, at the end of the last game, they were 0 for 30 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, that's not
That
good.
had to have been for the. That had to have been for the West Coast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not just yeah.
So, and they were 1 for 6 today. So
Okay.
it remains a problem. Our boy Matty B here, he's in a spreadsheet. He keeps track of everything on that. And becomes a problem. But like I tweeted out earlier, I said, Trey Turner's not seeing this ball. Like whatever it is, like you saw like, that last jab, like I understand him swinging at that pitch. That wasn't the problem.
Mhm.
It was kind of one of those really ones that if he didn't swing, it would have been a strike anyway. But the way he kind of reached that, like he just whiffed on it totally. Like he is not seeing this ball coming out the glove or whatever it is. Something is just not right with his swing. And he looks like him and Kyle Schwarber both do the same thing. Now I don't know what happens in June to Kyle Schwarber's brain that maybe the heat makes things.
Kyle had a home run last night.
He did, but I'm just saying, whatever it is, like he seems like he's seen the ball a little better lately, but he still has his
Really?
a little better, not much.
I think he's
Really?
played better
got
since he's
6
moved.
hits, 6 hits in the month of May.
No, yeah,
So I mean, and
yeah.
Trey Turner has been on a hitting streak. So I mean, it's funny that you're saying it. He's not getting it any power,
No.
but he has been hitting the ball.
But if you look at some of his hitting streak, these were blue plays that just the guys didn't have a play on. It
I don't
wasn't
care.
like
He's getting on base.
he's getting on base. And
You
I'll
know,
give you
because
that.
He's been scoring runs.
But the two of them, when it comes to clutch hitting,
No,
it's
not existing.
and that's
Not
my point
existing.
is if you have to gulp every time, like somebody goes, oh, who's batting next when Stock out on base? I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to have to say that already about him in May after all the hubbub we saw about the World Baseball Classic and we got all excited about him. And listen, I'm not one of those. I think I'm more one of the most realistic baseball guys, knowing he'll fix the problem. It's just these we talked about this last week, and I wanted to bring it up with you, James. Like they're about to go through a murderer's row type divisional lineup here, all away games. Like in the next week, they play. They come back and play the Cubs, and then I think is it start after the Cubs, the Mets series? Or the,
No.
They
no.
play.
Oh,
They
the
have 3 games.
Diamondbacks,
Yeah.
and then the Braves. It goes. So they have this. They have the Diamondbacks and the Cubs at home. Then they're away, and that's Braves, Mets, Nats. Now I know. Listen, the Nats are not a good team, but you know what? They're still a divisional team, and we are not playing well. So I don't feel good about anything right now.
They'll probably lose every game to the inferior teams except for the Braves. So they'll sweep the Braves somehow. That's just the way that the Phillies start to trend. I mean, what they have? They have 5 in a row, five wins in a row. Now they're on their 4th loss in a row. And checking my notes, they were 0 for 30 with runners in scoring positions in those 3 losses. Now with today's 4th, Al, you said they went 1 for 6. So they're 1 for 36 in their past 4 losses with runners in scoring position.
Mhm.
Now they come home for a weekend series against the Cubbies. And listen, what did we think last year when they played the Cubbies? They got swept at the end of the season, and we started questioning if they're even a playoff team and if they deserve to be in the playoffs at that time.
They came out of
and
the
then you saw the playoff run and everything, and our minds got switched. But again, going into even the series at home, we still don't know the Phillies team that we're getting because they continue to play down to these inferior teams.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it is mid-May, they have to start playing with some urgency because these losses, I mean, no matter where they come from, I don't care if it's from the Cubs or the Diamondbacks or the Braves or name the name of the team down the line, they're going to start adding up if they don't start playing some better baseball.
Mhm.
And it's not only the 1 for 36 in runners in scoring position, it's the pitching. Like you said,
Right.
Taijuan Walker, 4 runs in
Starting
the first
pitching,
inning.
yeah.
They are starting these games from such a hole. Then they have to climb out. They battle back today, but ultimately the bullpen didn't come through and they lost the game in the end. Soto, another offseason acquisition from Dombrowski. We praise these acquisitions when they come, but then they don't come to fruition in the offseason. I'm sorry, during the regular season. We have Zach Eflin who we're looking at, Syndergaard who left, and these guys are all playing very well. Like Eflin could have stayed.
You look at
Gibson, I think can't recall the team that he's on. He's pitching well.
Do you guys look at the pitching coach at all in this situation? I mean, this is a Jekyll and Hyde team. Like And it happens across all aspects from hitting to fielding. The fielding's been a lot better though. But other than that, like uh, you have starting pitching that's just terrible right now. I mean, even Zach Wheeler, who's your ace, last night he went what 6 innings? He went 6 innings, but he let up 9 hits, 4 runs.
Right.
But that's and that's the problem. The Jekyll and Hyde here, he's doing a decent job pitching, and the and part of those earned runs were that was maybe a little defensive flubs they had the other night. But on top of it, but then you only get 3 runs in your last 3 losses. Like that, it's like the offense and the offense and the defense, or the offense and the pitching cannot be on the same page. And
Last night the defense was horrible.
yeah,
I mean, they're just making mental mistakes. In the beginning of the season, it was the base running. Now it's the fielding. Throw the pitching in there wherever you want, and then the runners in scoring position. Like they're not going to have another scapegoat like Girardi last season, where Topper stepped up and they got a rejuvenation mid-season. Who's like is Long going to take over? Thompson gets fired. This is not going to be the same play from last season. I mean, they have to figure this crap out now.
and like you said, they came out of the All-Star break last year and got swept by the Cubs.
Yeah.
And like I said, let's do the math here. They have 3 against the Cubs and 3 against the Diamondbacks. So let's just say they split at 500. Okay, so what
Then they're still 3 below.
I think that they come back and they win 4-6.
you say you're going to take 4 or 6 of the
Yeah, if not 5 of 6.
But
and I'm not a big fan. So I'm looking at the schedule,
Mhm.
and last year we started 2 series late.
Mhm.
So it's right around this time is when Anaheim.
I totally
came in.
forgot about that. Yeah.
And we were, I think we were further along in the season. We were 22 and 29. So it was just about to turn to June. So I kind of feel like that we're still right on that.
Oh,
cusp
listen,
right
it's
there.
still May.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but it's still. But I agree. Like you can't. You're not. You need something to
Mhm.
to
You need a
spark
spark,
this
yeah.
team. And I think that they brought Harper back too soon. You know what I mean? I feel like that he probably shouldn't have come back for another couple of weeks, but I know he was going to force himself to do so. That spark should have come at the end of May, not at the beginning of May. I feel that, how much do you miss Reese Hoskins? It's
I know it's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, but here,
what
and I'm not
scares me
being a
about
jerk,
that-
but like with Reese Hoskins, he could be just as cold as the next person right
Sure.
now. I mean,
Oh, no,
that's- yeah.
no, with no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
But what scares me is that the fact that I'm mentioning that now, that we possibly are missing him in a contract season, means that he might get an extra contract, and I don't think he deserves one.
That's very true.
So it's the pitching didn't do very well in the beginning of the season last year either. I feel that everybody's just got to get warmed up. I like the fact that Stott has turned a corner a little bit, has actually been carrying the team.
Mhm.
I say the same thing with Nick Castellanos. He's been doing great.
Big turnaround. Yeah.
In terms of that. And I think that they continue when the rest of the bats catch up. And that's what's going to start to make things really get exciting. But until that time, it's, I
But can
feel
you
like
think
that
of
we're-
this? If Brandon Marsh and Stott and Alec Boehm, if they didn't get off to such a hot start, this team could be 8 games, 10 games under
Oh, yeah.
500. Now all of them. I mean, Stott is starting to have a bit of a resurgence back in that lineup spot, or I'm sorry, leadoff spot. Brandon Marsh is still trying to figure out, and Alec Boehm, I mean, he's showing flashes again, I guess. But I mean,
JT,
but they've all started to cool off. Bryce comes back. We're waiting for him. I mean, I do think Bryce has been playing pretty well. I've said this many times before. If I never see Bryce Harper play the field again, I could care less.
Right.
I need his energy, his personality, just him, his character, his charisma. That's the word. I mean, just what did we see on Sunday? We saw a Sixers team that completely flatlined, and we saw Bryce Harper charge the mound basically at Jake Bird because he started clapping his glove because he had more heart in his pinky than the Sixers did in have in their whole bodies. And that's what I need from Bryce Harper. He's the spark that this team needs, but it needs to be more. And I don't need to see him play first base. I don't need to see that at all.
Right.
I just need Bryce to be Bryce. And to your point, maybe he did come back a little too soon. But I don't think he's done anything to the team to make them play worse with his return.
No, I agree. I just think that the spark needed to come at a different time.
I get that. I get that. One of my biggest problem is with Bryson Stott at the leadoff position playing very well. Why the Topper once? I mean, it was game one from Bryce Harper coming back. They put Schwarber back in the leadoff just to get Harper back in that number 3 spot. Why the hell wouldn't you just put Harper in that number 3 and everybody behind them moves back and just keep that consistent lineup? And then they went for I think 2 series with that, and then that's when then they went on that 6-game losing streak that was, their longest in years. And then they move the lineup back to kind of where it was before Harper's return, and they get that 5-game winning streak. And Schwarber's starting to bat better. And, Stott in the leadoff is starting to get back to
Where
it.
did
I mean,
Trey Turner win his ring? He win it in Washington?
the Nats.
The Nats,
The
yeah.
Nats,
Yeah,
yeah.
Right
so
at-
he didn't win it in LA.
Yeah. No, right after he right after
Harper left.
Right
Harper
after-
left, yeah.
Yeah, so it's and I think about those types of things because he didn't win it out in LA. And
No.
I'm wondering,
LA only won their
I-
ring with the pandemic.
I thought it was a mistake not having Schwarber lead off
Really?
from the very beginning.
Okay.
I felt like you should have. He was the guy who got you there last year. I understand that you have some new people coming in and that it would make more sense. But truth of the matter is that I think that Schwarber, got himself in a mindset being the leadoff hitter. And since he hasn't been able to do that all season long, he hasn't been able to get into that mindset. That's why he hit the 46 home runs last year.
Sure.
And I think that he's not going to get anywhere close to that this year. He's back to the player who
He's
I
up to
knew
10.
he was. He's at 10 now,
Yeah.
but he's going to be at like 28 home runs. And when we first signed him, I says, this is a 240 here. He's a career 240 hitter who had a nice playoffs and had wound up having 26 home runs, which was the most in his career at that point with the Red Sox.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And then he came here and he had 46 home runs in the leadoff position, a position he had never been in before ever, and he wound up getting hot because of it. You know what I mean? So I could appreciate that, and that was the reason why he was doing that. His mindset. Once we took him out of that leadoff, we lost half of his power. I think that was part of the problem when Turner came here and they had that first interaction. And plus, I have a little funny thing with Turner because he didn't want to put the hat on in the when they had his initial meeting. I don't know. I
didn't even know that.
Yeah, he would not put the hat on. He blamed it on his wife. He just got his hair done. Like, are you kidding me? Put the friggin' hat on. You know what I mean? Put the hat on, take it off. Get your picture with the hat on, take it.
I think
off.
if I would have seen that, I think that would have annoyed me too.
Yeah, so it's like there's something going on with him a little bit, and I wonder what the chemistry is because
I think it's contract. I think it's that initial big contract. Everybody always seems to have like this down moment, even year. I wouldn't be surprised.
But you know what? In the very beginning, you heard about how the dugout was unhappy with the pitch clock.
Yeah.
You didn't hear about any other team complain about it, but if it was bothering the Phillies. And, it's like Schwarber doesn't come to me like the guy who complains. He comes to me like the guy who wants to just get through it. You know what I mean? I got a feeling that whole thing started with Turner.
Could be.
Just my opinion.
So
And then because then Harper said something about it, and they're the best of buddies.
So you're thinking that because Kyle didn't start the season in the leadoff spot, but then got thrown into it once Harper was out, that he had already checked out mentally, in that role.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, you might be on to something.
And I think he should go back to the leadoff spot. Truth of the matter is that I guess it's hard to move Stott down and move Stott away because of the way everybody's been hitting right now.
Yeah.
But moving Stott into the number 4 or 5 hole isn't a big deal. You know what I mean?
And I think the other issue is the Phillies they're kind of in the middle of the road for the amount of home runs that they have compared to the rest of Major League Baseball. But
They led the league led the minor. Jesus, they led the MLB during spring training in home runs.
But now at this point in the year, they're about somewhere middle of the road, but they are like 85% or more at this point of all those home runs. 85% of them are solo home runs. And I think that was the big movement.
Back to 2 years ago.
Huh?
Back to 2 years ago.
Yeah.
All them home runs were all solo shots.
Yeah. So I think they moved him down knowing if he gets hotter, especially in June, I honestly think he should be not in the leadoff. And I also was one of the guys who said it's not as big as a deal as it used to be because the odds of you being in the leadoff again after the first inning, it's not always not always the case. But the only time that's happening is when the whole team's cold because you go 1-2-3, 1-2-3, 1-2-3, and you're back around again. But I don't know if it's just who's in the leadoff spot or not. It definitely is a chemistry thing, but I'm more worried about the pitching, especially the starting pitching, because where do we go?
Yeah.
I mean,
Falter just got sent down to AAA.
Yeah. So you bring
You have to you have to find a fifth
They're already
starter.
talking about a bullpen game for Sunday because no pitcher has been announced yet. But now
I'm going Friday, so I think I got the Ranger.
Okay, so then they were saying, I think Ruben brought it up today on the broadcast. He goes, well, maybe because Soto didn't, or not Soto, Walker didn't have only one inning or barely.
Oh yeah, okay.
That he could be the starter and they'll maybe do a bullpen, but let him go.
It's only Wednesday, yeah.
So that's my problem is if something we don't know. Like we still are waiting for Ranger to kind of get his feet under him. He's still not 100%. He never have his hasn't had his.
He gave up 4 or 5 in his first
he
start
didn't,
too.
Yeah, he didn't do terrible
against a lackluster team in Colorado. I mean, again,
but if somebody
playing
gets
down
hurt,
to these inferior teams,
if somebody gets hurt, we got to bring Bailey Falter back up. I mean,
I think Bailey Falter's seen his days numbered as a starter for the Philadelphia Phillies. 0-8, I want to say 0-7, 0-8. And then you go back to last year's playoffs against the Padres where he didn't even make it through his half inning. He gave up 8 runs. I mean, I don't think and
that's the other thing
they can't keep throwing him out there and not realize that it's a Bailey Falter problem. It's not a matchup problem. It's not a lefty righty problem with Bailey Falter on the bump. No, it's just a Bailey Falter problem, and you can't put him back out there.
Yeah, and that's my problem is where do we go if somebody else like Aaron Nola continue? He struggled like this team, this pitching staff, the starting pitching staff. Let's not even talk about the bullpen at this point. Just look at the starting pitching. It is such a Jekyll and Hyde team.
Yeah,
and like you see, Walker had a couple rough starts in the beginning. Then he really has been on point for the last couple, and then today, and he goes 40 pitches, can't go out of the first inning.
I mean, you're talking Jekyll and Hyde. This team almost didn't make the playoffs last year, and then they went to Game 6 of the World Series before getting eliminated.
Yeah,
that's the true definition of Jekyll and Hyde right there.
Yeah,
well, I look at this as kind of like the way sports are right now.
It is.
Is that look at the Lakers?
Yeah.
Look at Florida, Panthers.
Yep.
Look at the Miami Heat. It's like you build yourselves for the playoff run, and you gotta just make sure you can get to that road. So I kind of feel.
Do you think the Phillies are holding their breath waiting to June because you got 2 guys on that team who play much better in the month of June and on. Like, do you think all right, well, Harper's still getting his feet under him, but I mean, they're playing well. Give that guy a lot of credit. I mean, he's superhuman at times. Comes out of Tommy John surgery earlier than anybody else ever has, and he's doing very well. I mean, let's see, he is his exact number.
Well, while you look that up, I mean, Kyle Schwarber, we're talking about him waiting for June.
314.
I mean, his 46 home runs last year, I think close to 30 of them came in June. I mean, he was on a record-setting pace last June in home runs. Don't quote me on 30 home runs.
No, it wasn't 30,
but it was up there. It might have been close to 20.
Yeah.
He was hitting multiple bombs a game.
I want to say it was like 16.
Yeah, it was up there.
That was real close to that. Because he had started off the season pretty good. And then, June, because he actually did pretty well in July, too. But then again, he had to do well in August and September because he had 46 home runs. So let's, either way, when you have 16 home runs, you still got to have 30 in the rest of the ones. It's, I was expecting a little bit more from Turner in terms of power.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe that was part of watching the World Class.
I was just going to say, watching him hit those dingers in USA Baseball, I mean, that's what you're expecting him to come to spring training and then the regular season with.
And Joe,
and that's just not.
I remember right before, I think right when they got back from the WCB or WBC, and then we're sitting there I remember Joe turns and looks at me and goes, I hope he didn't blow his load there. Like, we were so afraid that he was going to, and kind of what happened. And the guy just got off a 10-game hitting streak, I think, or maybe still in it. I'm not sure, 10 or 11 games. But the problem is some of these ones are some bloop shots that, like you said, they don't. You're on base, and I get that. Just just like somebody gets walked a lot. As long as you get on base, that's the important part. But at the same time, like I said, I just don't think he just doesn't to me look like he sees the ball. When he swings like somebody closes their eyes and hopes for the best. Like when I don't know, like, but that's fixable. So I'm not worried about Trey Turner as much right now. I'm not even worried about Kyle Schwarber. I'm worried about starting. I think they have to go out and look, man. I really think they need to start trading or
Well,
making signings.
they have a band-aid that they can, present in Matt Strom. In my, opinion, he pitched very serviceable, in the handful of starts that he had, to start the season because Ranger was out. Ranger's now back in and Bailey Falter's out. That's kind of the plug and play there. Matt Strom has to take, some more pitching opportunities. So be it. Like
But then
I am
you
comfortable
need
with that.
Strom in here
But
for tonight's type of game.
True. No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Who's
But
your
then,
long guy?
Ugh,
Not Bailey Falter.
that's definitely not Bailey Falter.
No,
Can't be
isn't
Brogdon.
isn't that Bellotti at this point?
Probably he
yeah,
just came back. He's pitching fine. But no,
Yeah.
I mean Andrew Painter is he going to get an opportunity? Like he might
He
have to
doesn't
get
come
his up.
back till September.
Oh, really? It's going to be that
Yeah,
late?
I think he doesn't get
They
back.
Oh
keep-
wow.
They
Truth of the
keep
matter is
saying
that
stuff, but it's just not.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think that he should wind up getting surgery. He should have gotten the surgery the moment
Sure.
that it happened. The fact that
okay.
they are playing this game with him is just going to make things take a lot longer.
Yeah, like how it was initially reported like Bryce was going to come back maybe
Oh, you
like
think
late
he needs
June,
Tommy
July.
John?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I think
was expecting
it's a
Painter to
partial
come
tear.
back like Harper.
That tear doesn't heal. It just it eventually is going to be a full tear. You know what I mean? Just do it. Just get it done and over with. But
Yeah, but for a guy like him, if he even if he got to say like in the first game of the season, like he had it then, like that time,
it was before that. It was in April.
Yeah,
So
all right. So April, I mean,
It was his first
not
start.
April,
you're
It
looking
was
at
his first spring
Yeah.
training start.
you could possibly looking at like missing 2 straight years, almost.
no.
Tommy John, you can take
Well, it depends on the player.
18. It can come up to like a year and a half to get better.
Well, it's definitely different when it comes to pitchers and position players when
Yeah.
it comes to Tommy John.
Yeah, but pitchers, you're looking the year easily.
Well, you never heard about anybody getting Tommy John until you really heard about Bryce Harper getting it, and then you heard about what's his face getting it from the 49ers.
Brock Purdy?
Purdy.
'Cause-
How many times you hear a football player getting Tommy John
Yeah,
surgery? It
exactly.
sounds
Well,
like
I've definitely heard of Tommy John plenty of times before that.
but you typically hear it from starting pitchers.
Oh, right. Starting
Yeah.
pitchers. Yeah.
You don't ever hear it from anybody else
right.
other than a pitcher.
Right.
So when the moment you hear that Harper's got to get Tommy John, we're like, really? And the only reason why he's back is because he was able to hit with that tear.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's still
Right.
tour, and he still can't throw a ball.
Well, again, because it doesn't happen to position players as very often. We never saw a guy be able to like, oh, you can actually continue to. I remember talking to the doc. I work for a doctor. I'm like, he's like, yeah, it's not used in that way. I'm like,
And what's wild is the Phillies signed Bryce Harper, probably their biggest, offseason signing ever that's made this much of an impact. And the league shifts with the National League and they bring on the designated hitter. If they don't have that designated hitter, Bryce Harper's out.
or that wild card.
Bryce Harper's not playing.
Yeah.
Because
But
he
they-
can't bat if he's not
they
playing the
saw
field.
that writing on the wall, which is why they offered him that money.
Right.
at
I'm
that
just
time,
saying, like, the
so.
timing for the Phillies just worked out perfectly because if in that season where they made that switch, if Bryce Harper's not playing the field, he's not playing. He's not
And
batting.
don't forget about
They're
the wild
probably
card
not
spot.
making that playoff run. They're not making that World Series appearance. I mean, it was perfect timing.
That third wild card spot. They didn't get that.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have that either.
Yeah.
Those two rule changes made the difference between us going to the World Series last year or not.
Oh my God.
And if it happened the year before, we may still have Joe Girardi. Think about that because we would have made that third wild card spot.
Yeah, that's true.
So that didn't happen. So I think about all the different things that have occurred to be able to get to the point they are. And I look at this team right now and it's still doing the same thing that it did last year.
Mhm.
So I think that because they were about 500 and right before they swept the Angels, so they were on a losing streak, because it was like,
Like 15, was it like 15 games or something? No, not 15.
but it was a weird losing streak.
yeah.
They were like, they had lost 7 in a row or something
Well,
like
yeah.
that.
both teams were. Yeah, you're right because both teams were. You're absolutely right.
And we swept them. And it was funny because, I was there for that entire series and Joe Madden got a mohawk and got fired.
Really?
Yeah, so I guess from seeing me all that time and like my hairstyle, he wound up getting a mohawk, and then he never made it. They never even got to see it because they fired him.
Well, I want to change gears a little bit, but I want to talk about another team that doesn't know how to get off the hamster wheel and do the same thing year in and year out. And that's your Philadelphia 76ers, who got bounced in the second round again. Tell me if you heard this one before. Got bounced in the second round of the NBA playoffs. And we've all said it that the Sixers probably, this is the best chance they've had in a long time to make a push to the finals. And they come up real small. Jane, you were down there, man. You were in the thick of it during the six when they were in Philly. And I don't want to sit here and say I saw this coming. I really didn't. But like that game 6, when Jason Tatum came back at the fourth quarter and they let him score all those points and not just winning it, but when you let him get hot, I remember I was sitting there with my wife watching the game, like, that's not good news. Bad enough we had to go back to Boston for game 7, but a hot Jason Tatum at the same time, not good news. But my problem with outside of getting bounced again in the second round, I mean, we'd be all angry to begin with, was the complete shit show of a give up that I've seen from this.
Heartless.
Like we all come from like, you know what? If this team's better than us, like if that game went down to the wire and they were just a better team and they won, I'd be disappointed. But I'm angry.
Mhm.
And I'm still angry about it. Like usually by now I'd be like, all right, I'm over it now. Like let's just look towards the future. The future's pretty bleak in my eyes, and I'm usually not the Debbie Downer in that situation, but I'm going to be that right now because there's certain things we always said you can heal from a broken leg, you can get Tommy John surgery, you can get shoulder reconstruct, you can do all that and come back and have a good career. But if it's between the ears, we're in trouble. We saw that with Ben Simmons. Now that's the worst case scenario with the in between the ear situation, but you know, we're all like, all right, maybe this is James Harden's finally, he's going to come to the playoffs and not shit the bed. Maybe Joel Embiid will play better in the playoffs now. He's got the MVP trophy. No, he was, minus 10 points in the playoffs than he would be in the regular season. Like, that's why I guess they give that trophy during the regular season, not for the playoffs.
Yeah, they should really give that trophy after
The season's
after
over.
the season's done.
I mean, it's sad. Like, it really is sad. And we said it. The Celtics were a beatable team. Like they weren't unstoppable, but they were disciplined and they executed well defensively. I mean, who would have ever who would have thought? Like looking at this go to the stats for a second, hitting the box score, but like going into the fourth quarter or second half, the second half of the game 7 Celtics Sixers in Boston. It's dumbfounding that they only scored like 26 points or something in the whole, or not even that much in the whole second half of Game 7. Like it's ridiculous that happened.
Oh, I thought they scored. I thought they scored 36 points.
Oh, 30
They only scored 10 points in the third.
in the third.
And
Yeah,
it literally, if you remember, they scored the first 3. So they scored 7 points the rest of that quarter. There were a few things that I saw in that game that kind of really bothered me. First off, at what point did like you guys watch the same game? Wouldn't you have pulled Harden out?
no, they
After-
would never do that.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
that's
me,
what
yeah,
got him
maybe,
fired.
yeah.
That's what got him fired because you needed to pull Harden out. He pulled him out for 6 seconds and then he threw him right back in there again. I'm like, what are you doing? He's throwing the ball away. He is the mess. He is the mess. Yeah. You needed somebody else. The other thing that really bothered me is that PJ Tucker has the hot hand in the first quarter.
11 points.
And he shot one more time in the second quarter and didn't touch the ball after that. Did not like how
Tobias Harris was your top scorer in Game 7 Celtics Sixers with 19 points. 19. Not one guy got to 20 in a Game 7. Like that. I hope, and I like Joel Embiid. Like, I really do. Like it's not just like I know he's a good player, and people are like, oh, should they trade him? Should they do this? Should they do that? You don't trade him. You really don't trade him unless it's a king's ransom, and if you have to make a conscious decision, you got to sit there. And Joe, you did the button pushing one, like the meme today, and I'm like, it's the button should either be rebuild or retool and they got to make a choice because people are like, well, maybe we'll shop Joel Embiid and see what we can get for him. As soon as you put that out there, Joel ain't gonna be too happy with that.
That's the problem. You can't even, just see what you could get because once it's Joel pity party. That's what he will start doing it. Joel Embiid on Twitter, he'll start tweeting, he'll start, putting all this stuff into the atmosphere, and that's when you know that you've already lost them. I mean, Doc's gone. Harden today announces, Harden didn't announce, but it got leaked out through Bleacher Report that Harden's going to decline to $36 million, test free agency. He's looking for a 4-year max deal. No way in hell. It could be. It absolutely could be. But I mean, they're saying that Harden wants or will only listen to offers from a roster that has a team that has a competitive roster, and he quote unquote wants to go to a team where he has the freedom to be him. Well, let me, put it out there as nicely as I can, James. You're 34 years old. You can't play the way that you used to. You had to switch up your way of your style of play this season because you were not the same James of old. You had to become the facilitator. Look at, I don't care if you put up 42 and then 45 points in 2 games of a 7-game series. What did you do the other 3? Game 7, you didn't show up. You and Joel Embiid combined put up 24 points.
Yeah.
He had 9 points in Game 7. I saw an image earlier of 2 Game 7s from 2 playoff series in a row, and it was comparing James Harden and Ben Simmons, and Ben Simmons had the better stats. What does that tell you right there? 34. I don't want James Harden on this team. Listen, if they want to bring James Harden back with his player option, extend him for a year till he's 35, 36, okay, what can I say? But I don't want him getting paid $50 million when he's 40 years old, and this team, Joel Embiid won't even be on the team at that point because they would have no flexibility to re-sign him or do anything else. They have no draft capital for the next 5 years. I understand, they'll have it, every other year, first rounder, but it's going to be a late rounder. It's going to be nothing because you're going to have these regular seasons of 50 to a 54 win season like this year. And what did that get you? A second round exit. It's the same. Like, again, we talk about this all the time. The definition of insanity.
Mm-hmm.
It's expecting different results from, the same way of going about things. That's the way that this team is going right now. Daryl Morey, James Harden is his guy. We're probably going to be disappointed by the outcome of this.
Yeah.
He's probably going to get 3 or 4 years. And it's going to hamper the Sixer for years to come.
I don't think I don't so at all.
You don't think what? It's going to hamper him?
We sign him.
Oh, you don't think they're going to re-sign him?
You think
I don't want him to.
Do you think if Daryl Morey is making the shots, what are your odds of we signing it or calling the shots as he is right now? Because somebody goes, do you think Daryl Morey can still get fired? I'm like, if they let him fire Doc, obviously no. They would have fired him first and fired Doc at the same time.
When I saw the list, I mean, it was like Doc fired, and then 30 seconds later, there was a tweet out there of a list of 7 different coaches that the Sixers were already in on. It's like, all right, well, then obviously they were ready to get rid of this guy the second Game 7 was over. And then you see Mike D'Antoni's name on there.
I think they were ready.
And I'm looking at this, I'm going, Daryl Morey, Houston. James Harden, Houston. The joke is, much like it's like the Philadelphia Bulldogs with getting all the Georgia guys, everyone has joked that it's the Philadelphia Rockets because of Daryl Morey and James, and they're trying to put this team together like it's the Rockets. Now you're thinking about bringing in Mike D'Antoni? What are we doing here?
Well, my question is, what did Houston do so well?
He's going to be attached to Morey. I heard JJ Redick was.
Oh my God! Please, God, no.
Can we
talk about this last week?
I thought that was ridiculous.
I talked about this last week.
And they thinking that like Jay Wright was ridiculous, but you think
right.
JJ Redick is going to fix it?
I would love Jay Wright. I would love if they would get Jay Wright.
Absolutely.
The truth of the matter is that that's who they need.
Yeah.
That's why I would get rid of Harden. I would let Tobias Harris go somewhere else. I would bring in Jay Wright, and I would all of a sudden, start getting Jay Wright type of guys. And
funny enough, you say that Josh Hart and DiVincenzo are free agents. So I would, if they can get Jay Wright, those are my top 2
those
signs.
Are still bench guys, anyways.
Right?
But it's still, it's like now you would, because that was the one thing he was really good at was getting everybody and getting the most out of his bench, getting defense being played. It's just like you do have some of the pieces. I think Maxey is going to stick around. I think that Milton's okay. It's like I think
Shake's a free agent. I think he's going to be gone.
B-ball Paul is going to be all right.
Korkmaz's
You know what I mean?
gone.
Korkmaz's gone.
Yeah.
Niang gone.
Yeah, both of those.
I mean,
are long. They should have been gone last year.
Do you think there's any chance that they can unload Tobias Harris's contract at just under $39.2 million for the season?
Well, no, isn't it, he's got one more season left?
Right.
I think you just deal with it then.
That's kind of the way I'm leaning.
You got to just deal with it because, what's it? The following year, not only is Tobias a free agent, but so is
Maxey
Butler.
Oh, Jimmy.
Yeah, I think Jimmy Butler comes back.
I would absolutely love it. I think one of the big problems with Harden not re-signing is even if he declines a player option, you don't get that $35.6 million that he's not accepting. You only get about 14 million of it within the salary cap to work with. You're only going to get, you're not going to be able to max a guy out.
No.
You're going to get a mid-level player, which, I mean, there are a number of guys. I already mentioned Josh Hart, but Lonnie Walker, who's playing really well with the Lakers right now, he's a Reading kid. He's from the T-Swift area. So, I mean, I'm bringing Lonnie Walker back as a role guy. I mean, a Fred VanVleet you can get, D'Angelo Russell. I mean, there are guys that you can get in here that can really solidify, this, whether it's the starting five or the bench, excluding James Harden. And that's the route I think they should
Do
go.
these guys want to come here? Let me ask you that question. Like, honestly,
You still got Embiid, yeah. People want to come here.
Okay. I mean,
and here's the other thing is
I guess the coach too makes a difference too.
Yeah, that's why Drummond is available again. I think that I think he signed a 2
year. Did B-Ball Paul do enough for you to feel like he's a good number 2 in the NBA?
He's okay. He's a good enough number 2. He played well when he played in that role.
Mm-hmm.
Like
enough. I mean, let me rephrase the question then. Is he good enough to maybe allow Embiid less time on the court?
I'm a B-Ball Paul fan, and for one of the main reasons of that is because, first off, I'll accept 10 to 12 points out of him a game. But one of the biggest things I see out of him is rebounds. And not only defensive rebounds, he can get you 15 rebounds a game, and half of them are going to be on offense. And where do the Sixers get killed? On offensive rebound.
All series long, there was 3 Celtics under the basket every time. And it's like
the Celtics
I'm watching the Denver game yesterday, and that's how he makes all his points.
Smoked the Lakers. It was great.
That's how he makes all his points. Somebody shoots a 3, misses it, he reaches out here, and then he just puts it up.
Well,
2 points.
That was one thing I was clamoring about. Like, what Joel needs to do, not just go home and stare at his MVP trophy. He'd be a real man. He'd go, here, take it back.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want it. But he needs to retool his game. Like, he has to understand. He doesn't. I don't think he needs to. Like, the whole thing is they need to put a bunch of shooters around Embiid. We have Niang in there. We have James Harden, who is hot and cold. Like, he's the Kyle Schwarber of the Sixers. Like, he can be hot, he can be cold. You get a 45-point game, and then you get 20 points in 2 games. Like, you can't win with him.
Doesn't it seem like he is a guard when you're playing offense?
Oh yeah,
he
wants to play like a guard. Yeah.
So why not go big? Why not do the bigs? Why not have? That's why I want Drummond.
Mm-hmm.
I want Drummond to play on offense. I want him to play the 5 and then put him out at the 2. You know what I mean? That's what needs to happen.
Kind of like when they did when Horford was here, when they put him in the game together.
Horford was crap.
Well, I know. I'm just saying, but is that the kind of thought process?
That's what I want. That's what I want.
By the way, I wanted to point this out. Who do you think was the top rebounder in Game 7?
Game 7 for are you mean just
overall?
Game?
Yeah.
Or for both teams, or
for either team. Who was the top rebounder overall?
What's his face?
Marcus Smart.
Yeah, Jason Tatum.
Tatum.
He had 13 to Embiid, who led the team with 8. Like that,
actually 15 points, right? 15 points from Embiid.
Milton had the lead at one point. He has like 5 rebounds. He had the lead at one point.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous to see. Milton's the one that's got 5 rebounds.
Yeah.
What an absolute joke of a game. I'm not gonna lie to you. First off, I was like on my deathbed Mother's Day on that Sunday, so I already was like not with it.
Oh, you were pretty sick.
Yeah. Something came over me around breakfast time, but that's neither here nor there. So like I was already like, already feeling like
Herpes.
crap. And then as soon as that game ended, like I stopped watching, like basically with like 5 minutes left. I just got up and started doing stuff around the house. And then after the game, I was so sick to my stomach. I'll be frank with you. I went and I threw up. And I couldn't tell if it was because I was sick to my stomach from how I was feeling or because of what I just witnessed. That was one of the most pitiful, not only game sevens, but overall games I've ever seen in the history of Everett, of me watching the Sixers in my fandom of them since 1983. I had no idea what the hell I was watching the first 3 quarters of that game. For whatever reason, it was those role players in the first half that kept the team in the game, and then you needed the two big superstars, Harden and Embiid, to show up at some time. It doesn't matter if it was in the third quarter when they scored 3 or 10 points. Get it rolling in the fourth quarter. Start taking the game over. And then Embiid has the balls to say in his post-game presser, saying that him and James can't win alone. That it has to be, a 5-on-5 team contribution. It was those role players that kept you in the game,
Right.
in the first half. And then you guys couldn't, you combined for 24 points. The MVP and the assists leader, the back-to-back scoring champ in a game 7. You went on and we said, this is what we play for, the excitement of a game 7. Everybody's going to love it. And then you come out and you throw up just a big nothing burger. And I'll be honest with you, I'm still angry about it, and I might take this back, a month from now, or a couple weeks, a month from now. I don't care if they shop Joel Embiid. I really don't. I understand that you could take the
But then
risk.
you're saying
I understand there's a huge risk.
I don't think
to
there's a
it.
huge risk. I think he's
Oh
gone
no,
if
no,
you
I'm
put it
not.
out
I'm
there.
not. I'm not saying. I'm not saying that the chance that he'll be gone. I think
Yeah.
he'll be gone
Yeah.
if you try and shop him. I'm talking about the risk of just going back into mediocrity for the next like 5 years or so.
Gotcha.
I understand that
Gotcha.
there's a risk of that, but I will also say this: I love the drama of it all. Being in this
Well, this is what
industry,
we do for a
what
living.
we do, how we're doing this right now, all the posting, I love the drama of it all. We already went through a process for close to 10 years where there was so much overturn, so much content for us. So if it comes down to, and I put this in a post last night, I don't think there's ever been a team that has lost their head coach, the MVP, which is also the back-to-back scoring champion, and the league assist leaders all in one offseason when they made the playoffs and had a second round exit. It would be the first time ever in probably the NBA that has ever happened, and I'm here for every second of it.
Fair enough. But you're also going to make you nauseous the entire time. It's like
100%.
It's like one of those things. Like
100%. I'm going to get what I asked
it's,
for.
it's
Absolutely.
like
It will make me sick.
It's like an amusement park ride, like a scary roller coaster. You know it's going to make you nauseous, but you're going to enjoy every last second of it.
I'm a self-inflicted glutton for punishment,
Oh yeah.
and I am 100% okay with it.
Joe's a sports drama masochist, apparently.
Really
But like, look at this: -21, -11, -28, -31, -30. That is your 5 starters for the Sixers in Game 7.
Yeah.
That
minus 11. That was PJ Tucker.
that was PJ Tucker. Yeah.
It's a shame because he wound up being out there for a little bit, and they never would throw the
That
ball.
team was so like at one point you just felt like they were cursed because there's times the ball went rimmed out. How like at least 3 or 4 times in the third and fourth quarter. Where
Right.
it's just like they could. James Harden couldn't buy a basket at one point, and then the fear, dude. The fear was what drove me nuts. Like we come to like and I'm talking like back in the day when we were in grade school, high school. But like if you had a team that was just drastically better for you, and I'll give you an example. I remember when I played football. And I'm talking about grade school and the high school, but like there was a guy I played who ended up being an NFL player in Kevin Jones.
Kevin
right?
Jones, yeah.
And when we played in grade school, he played for Our Lady of Charity, and they had the same game plan. They had the same game plan every time.
Give it to Kevin.
Give it to Kevin. Every time he got it, he got 5 touches for 5 touchdowns. It was without a doubt. They went undefeated that whole year. Nobody, it was like trying to tackle a bus, dude. Forget about it.
You're not embellishing at all either.
Like, that was the game plan. 5 times, up the gut, 5 touchdowns, gave it to Greg Watson, let him take it the rest away. That was it. But I remember my coach looking like goes, you know what? How about the guy in front of you? Smack him around. Make them sore in the morning. Make them like at least at the end of the day they had to go. Was that worth it? They didn't even have that, and that's what kills me because take you PSG. You're sitting there. You get yourself all painted up. You get down there. You probably ruin your throat by the end of the night, just screaming, hooting, and hollering. There's all those people in the stands who spent a buttload of money, and then I'm sitting there going, "It's goddamn Mother's Day." We were hoping for a Game 6 finale. Be done with it. so we can enjoy Mother's Day and not have to worry about divorce papers being served on Monday. Like, that's what it was. But then I went to my mother's house with my wife and my kids. Both my mother and my wife like watching the Sixers games. Not with me, but they like watching the games. And I'm sitting there going, I should be out to brunch, or I should be out taking them out somewhere doing something.
Right.
But because there's a 3:00 game, because we couldn't finish the goddamn job on game 6, we had to wait till we come back on Sunday to do it. And to sit there and feed us that garbage, this is where, like, being an analyst, I put it to the side saying, I'm back to being a fan. I'm annoyed. Like, I'm above and beyond annoyed because you got a bunch of millionaires, and I'm watching Joel Embiid. Like, I go back to that game in Toronto, that quadruple doink. Joel Embiid just hits the ground crying. They're trying to console him. They're walking it back, and people are tweeting, "What a big giant pee!
Right,
what a whiny baby. He's crying." I'm like, dude, when you're bred to be a warrior, you're bred to. You have to have you have emotions. So it's understandable when things get real high, you're up, and then you get low, you're gonna be sad. Like, that's normal.
I had no problem with him crying on that.
But when I saw him
Not at all.
whispering in Jason Tatum's ear after you got walloped, you should have spat at him and walked away. Or slugged him.
See, I disagree with that, because I think that they knew that it was over at, like I said,
Game
at
6.
4 minutes left. 4 minutes left in the third quarter. They were down by a lot, but they were still, like, you still could have made the turn.
You make a 10-point run and you
when
can
they
make a
made-
fight, yeah.
And the look when Harden just threw it out of bounds, like nobody was there. He made this ridiculous throw. He got pulled out. He got pulled out after that, and then got put back in 6 seconds later. But at that point, it was like everybody's head was down. They went down the court, all 5 head down. So it was just like
right,
and that was over at that point. All the fight was done.
No, you're 100% right.
Well, how does that
even
make me
Tobias
wrong,
Harris,
though?
because with his presser at the end of the game, said it was mental toughness that they were lacking in that game.
Was that what?
Well, that's a you problem.
Yeah. I mean, any one of us would have had a pickup game that went that way. We would have been throwing elbows or doing something. Like, I'm not sitting there going, you have to fight the guy. I'm going a little over the top. But to me, that's not wrong. Like, I'm not saying he should have fought Jason Tatum, but there was no, like, it was bad enough he gave up. But then after, it's like, no, I'm still a millionaire. There's people here who probably spent $2,000 to be here in the seats. In Boston, whatever. Let those jackasses spend all their money. I don't care about them. But, like, I'm talking about
I didn't go.
Yeah, right. Like,
I mean, that's and
that's another thing. I mean, let me ask you that question. As the super fan to Philadelphia, as a representative of fans, like, you sit there and you go a little further. You paint yourself up. You got your uniform. You get the whole 9 yards. And to watch your team, like, you're sitting there cheering your team on, and you're trying to keep positive. You're on social media, keeping positive. Hey, guys, they're not out of it. They're doing this. I watch all your stuff, so I see it. Like, that's got to be deflating to you to watch that.
That's why I don't post during the game when we're losing.
Yeah.
Good
call.
Because ultimately, like, you see the writing. I mean, I knew that we needed to finish it in game 6.
Yeah.
Game 7. Game 7, I was hoping it would be on Saturday. First off, it would have made the home run competition much, much shorter. And, because everybody would have been interested in watching the Sixers.
And last year when we did it, there was a playoff
Sixers
game.
Yeah. That's why Jordan stayed so long.
Yeah.
Jordan Mailata stayed
right.
for 4.5
That's
hours.
right.
He was only supposed to be there for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
4.5 hours later, he left.
Yeah, he was great.
Oh, he was amazing. What I mean? It's and that was one of the shames that didn't happen, that we didn't get one of the players to come in. But I mean, not that Hollis isn't great. Hollis is amazing, and Mickey and Charlie being there.
I think you and Hollis can say Dolan's is your living room.
I think
you both
more than Hollis.
You could share. Yeah, you could share your living room. That's not a bad guy to share your living room with.
No, it's
just don't bring your sister around him. He'll
I was gonna say he takes up a little bit more space.
Yeah.
Than I do, so,
but
and drinks a lot more tequila.
Yeah, Johnny Walker Black. Dave's asking Dave's asking 2 questions. I'm gonna flip it around. He wants to know thoughts on Nick Nurse as next head coach for the Sixers. Joe, go ahead. I'll let you start this.
I'm reading this. I'm reading this one. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I feel sending Joel to my. I'm not opposed to it. You're gonna get a lot more than just Bam.
Yeah.
I mean, Bam, maybe
Yeah.
Hero, couple
Yeah.
firsts. Like,
But do you
it's
really,
not out of the question. I would absolutely entertain that.
but
No doubt about it.
but getting a couple first, unless they're down the line, for a team that takes you all and you're trying to win, right?
Mhm.
So that means all your first round picks are going to be late first round picks. And in the NBA draft, which by the way, Sixers are no draft picks this NBA draft. Just to point that out.
They don't even have any seconds.
They don't have their
Wow,
second
okay.
round pick.
I thought they had at least 1 second.
I don't unless they traded it and got it for something else.
Right,
Their
okay.
normal picks they don't have.
First year that I forgot. I knew the lottery was last night, but then I just forgot about it. And then I saw like the Spurs are
Yeah.
getting the number 1 pick, and I was like, oh, that's right, it was last night.
Mhm.
Couldn't care less. I would like Nick Nurse. I would. I don't know if he'd be my number 1. I like Monty Williams too. I like how he's already been here. He knows the organization. He knows some of the players that are still here. I would be interested in Monty Williams coming back.
I say Nick Nurse is the best part about him is it would be one of the only options right now who's been and won a championship.
Sure.
You know,
Well, the Bucks former coach too. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name. So I'm just
yeah. But okay, yeah, I got him too, and then you got another coach in Monty Williams who knows the organization and who's been to at least a finals.
Sure.
Nick Nurse, I like him. I just don't know how style of coaching would reflect here. And what I mean by that is the way he runs his guys like hard. Like,
Sure.
You can't do that with Joel.
I know that, and that's why I think seeing the coach that they bring in could determine what they're thinking about doing with Joel. I mean, in all honesty, Joel, we already know from Stephen A. and some other sources that we read about that Joel Embiid is very unhappy with the firing of Doc Rivers. I mean, and again, we talk about, Joel throwing pity parties once he starts reading some tweets talking about him. He might be asking for a trade as we speak, for all we know.
Could
Isn't
happen.
he unhappy with the firing of the last coach too?
Yeah,
Brett Brown?
He's
Brett
always
Brown.
unhappy.
So he's just.
I think that's a saving face moment with him. I think he's just like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be held responsible. I mean, everybody's blaming it on James Harden, saying he had a big portion of which that's what scares me because I kind of believe that to be true. To be honest with you,
Right.
and if he's having that much of a response on it, that means there's a good chance he could be back.
Here's another thing with Embiid for me is, I mean, I understand that he didn't have a great second round overall, but here's another playoff where he's injured. He's kind of using that as an excuse.
When he tripped
He's-
over Marcus Smart,
regardless of it's regular season, playoff, whatever, he has a hard time getting up and down the court. He's always kind of the last guy up. He's, pushing 30. He's 7'3", 300 pounds. He can't stay in shape. How long until he just starts to break down? Isn't right now the highest trade value? And you'll never get what his actual trade value is. But isn't it right now going to be the highest you could ever get for him? Why put it to another 2 years to try and test out another head coach when you're bound to get the same results, or his body's going to break down, even sooner than expected?
That's the ding ding question of the day because that's why you like I said,
That's why I'm here.
That you're the meme with the guy's picking the button and he's sweating his ass off because that's what you have to do. That's where the decision has to be made. It's not like, oh well, let's just see what we can get for him. It's we need to know we can. Do we know this is the best we're going to get from Joel? And the only way Joel is going to get anything is if he goes somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Like that might be the best case where maybe they have a backup center where he can spell him a little bit more, kind of like we did with PJ Tucker. Just wrap him up, leave him in plastic wrapping to the playoffs. You know what I mean? But my point is, that's the ultimate decision that the Sixers have to make, and unfortunately, I don't think they'll be able to make that decision.
Just to wrap up on Dave's question is sending Embiid to the Heat to play with Jimmy Butler. Like the one thought you would think of is you don't want to send him there because that kind of already makes him a championship contender. However, we've already seen that script. We've already seen Jimmy and Embiid. Maybe it's not automatically a championship contender down there. We've seen them play together. We've seen them have an early exit from the playoffs. Maybe you just take the assets that you can get from Miami and really start to build. Because here's another thing: is if you get a hero, if you have a Bam and a Paul Reed in a rotation at center, you're going to have shooters around Embiid here anyway. That's not the type of game that Embiid plays with shooters around, because he wants to be out on the perimeter,
Well, that's why I
perimeter
said
as well.
he needs
And
to
there's
change.
never anybody under the rim to get an offensive rebound anyway.
That's
So
why he
why
needs
would
to
you
change his
why
game.
would you go out and get a bunch of shooters to put around Embiid when he's not down on the block regardless?
That's why I said he needs to change his game. What do you think, Jing?
I I kind of agree with all of it. Like
Yeah.
I said, I feel that he's, on offense, he's playing a guard's position. I feel like on defense is when he plays center.
Mhm.
Like, why wouldn't you go big? Like, I would go 3 small and 2 big. And that's, if it takes him a long time to get up the court.
James, good
that's-
old fashioned 3-2.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I love it.
But
I love
that's,
it.
They were playing zone. in the
Yeah.
I mean, they
playoffs.
were, and and they had just started to really go after Boston at the 3-point line.
Mhm.
So I mean, literally, if it wasn't for Tatum going off, and he went off, interestingly enough, because I was at Game 6 and the camera went on me for like a good minute and a half. After that, Tatum started scoring.
It's your fault. Are you
It
blaming
is
you?
my fault. I am going to take.
You're the
take
jinx?
blame for that. But he started scoring there because it was like 4 minutes left, and we were trying to get some energy into the building. So they come to me. I'm getting that energy up and stuff like that. You hear the building starting to rock a little bit. We are tied. They were just coming. They were just coming back, but we were tied
Mhm.
still. Still thought that we were going to win the game, and the fact that they couldn't make a shot afterward, it was like all
Yeah.
of a sudden. But
And they still didn't. Couldn't do it. Barely could do it in the
but
game 4.
At what point? Why stop? Why keep shooting threes? At what point? Why don't you be like, listen? We just gotta
That's
break
the
this knot."
desperation.
Yeah.
That's a desperation. When you see a team who's not hitting shots, just keep trying to hit threes because they're trying to. They think it's the quickest way of crawling themselves back. When just go down, slam the ball right in the basket, get your 2, and deflate them that way because it might take a little longer to chip away. But even down 20 plus points, you could have chipped away 10 of those points and made it
Exactly.
a feasible
Right.
It
run.
wouldn't
Yeah.
have been. At one point, it was a 25-3 run.
Yeah.
A 25-3 run. It's like you got to be able to try to score some points and
Yeah.
at least start getting in there. Obviously, you're not making them at 3. Drive the lane. How many times did I see Harden drive the lane and then throw it back? Or like Embiid, where he holds the ball a little too long. You know what I mean? Like, why not just drive and just put it up? Stop playing with the ball. Because every time he just
Absolutely.
wound up getting triple teamed. Somebody puts his arm in there. Now he lost the ball. Now it's a turnover.
I think
Another
it swiped the
turnover,
ball.
another
That Boston
turnover.
defense. That Boston defense was just flat out good.
They were good, but they weren't great.
Right. I agree. They were beatable.
I
for
just think
sure.
we were, Joe. I think they were good, but we were that bad that made them look great. I think that's the best way of doing it. It's like
maybe on the
this
zone.
girl alone's like a 7, or maybe a 5 or 6, but this girl's like a 1, so she looks like an 8 next to her. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I feel like. What it
That's
looks
the
like.
math I like.
Yeah.
In the first half, I was counting them. There were, I think there was 11 or 12 open look threes.
Mhm.
And what's his name was hitting them. But like I said, PJ Tucker. He took one open look 3 in the second quarter. He made his 11 points. We took one open 3 in the second quarter, and then didn't get the ball back again.
Yeah.
Like, why not continue to throw it to him?
And you know what's odd about that is normally when Tucker has his, 2 or 3 threes in a game, they come in the later stages of the second half. They had enough trust in him to start feeding him the ball in the first half. He was proven he should have been fed the ball more, and then they go away from him in the second half. Where's the logic in all of that?
Well, in the second quarter, they stopped throwing him the ball.
Yeah.
They didn't want to throw it to him in the corner. Why not give it to him? And in fact, and then Doc took him out. And then I'm like, why isn't he in there? Like, why is he not in there? Like, you need somebody to play some defense while they're scoring points. Why? Just I don't understand any of the moves that he made. So when I knew he was gone after the game, Doc is not going to make this.
We all kinda knew it.
I think Doc knew that during his press conference because somebody asked him about it, and he's like, "Oh, I got 2 years left on my contract." That's like the corporate line saying, "Well, I got 2 years left on my contract." Well, I got 2 years left on my contract.
Yeah.
Not saying, no, I feel pretty secure, and I'm sure I don't think we're thinking about that right now. He could have simply said that. No, he's like, I got 2 years left on my contract.
We knew that Doc was fired after Game 7, the same way that we knew that the Sixers were going to be eliminated after Game 6.
Yeah.
Like that. Like, I knew the Sixers were not winning that game. Like, as much as I tried to talk myself into it, for that day,
I was
saying,
just
"Hey,
hoping to be
oh,
surprised.
they could win if they did this, or they could win if they did that." No, in my heart of hearts, I knew that the series was over because I just looked at Boston as a complete team, their hustle, their defense, the way that they were shooting, the
Hey.
fact that Jason Tatum can play awful, garbage basketball for 3/4 of a 4-quarter game, come out in game 6 in that 4th quarter and just take the game over. That was the deflating of the balloon for me. I knew in my heart of hearts the series was over.
And just because you brought up the hustle thing, I didn't know if you guys knew, but Marcus Smart won the hustle award.
I did.
I don't know if you guys knew that
Oh yeah.
because they may have only said it 9,000 times
Right.
during that whole series.
Right.
Luckily, Jamie, when you're down there, you don't get to hear that
Not
call.
even- yeah,
But
not
like
even a little
they
bit.
every time, oh, see how he hustles? He won the hustle award.
Right.
All right, guys.
Oh,
get up.
interesting. Since you said you're at game 6 and we brought up Jason Kelsey before, did you know that they were going to be walking through that concourse entrance?
So, interestingly enough, I went down that way because sometimes, it's Sixers than it is for like the Eagles or the Flyers. I
Sure.
can go just about wherever I want to
Sure.
go. They don't want me to go onto the floor, which is understandable. I don't have a ticket to get on
Makes
the floor,
sense.
whatever. I don't have that access as of yet. But I do go, and I do go to stand in different spots. I went and stood in that spot because I knew I was closer to them, and I was like,
Oh, okay.
maybe I can get a video towards the end. Like if we won or something, I could get a quick little video. So I stayed in that. I didn't realize they had to come up that way to go to the bathroom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they were, when Jason came back, like on the way back down, they said I prepped the video. Like I'm like, all right, seem to be running into this guy every as he's
Okay.
running by, knowing that that's going to happen. You know what I mean? Travis, same situation. He can't stand there. They can't stand there and talk to me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's too much. They have to get back down there and get to their seat because they can't get crushed. They don't. They know that there's a game going on, and if they get inundated with pictures
Mhm.
there, they're blocking everybody else from the game as well. So it's not something they want to do.
Especially Jason.
But
Pretty cool.
again, I happened to be there because I wanted to do that video, and then here they come running past me to go to the bathroom. Okay,
That's awesome.
I'll do a quick little video that way.
Real quick, I want to hit some of these comments here. Devo is coming. He said Monty is Doc. Thoughts on that?
Okay.
You think Monty Williams is just Doc 2.0, or, I mean, if you, I kind of look, I would.
Well, I mean, if you're talking coming up short in some high playoff games, then yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that.
I was kind of wondering if he's kind of like what Joe Girardi to Rob Thompson was.
Mhm.
Worked under him, understands him, takes the best of him, and then replaces the crap. So I don't know. I do like Monty. Who do you guys think is the best option? If you're a GM, Joe, who are you picking? list.
Probably Nick Nurse.
Jamie?
I would love. I would be doing everything I can to talk to Jay Wright.
Well, yeah. Oh, okay.
I-
Sorry. All things, if Jay
If-
Wright's
if-
taking the
All right,
interview,
how about,
then yes,
how
Jay
about
Wright.
the current list that they're talking about? Not Jay Wright.
Dawn Staley.
Yeah, not Don Staley either. Like the realistic one, because I don't think
Nah, it would
Jay's
be
gonna-
Nick Nurse.
Nick Nurse.
I actually would go after the Milwaukee guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I just maybe he just knows how to deal with a big like him because he
Well, he's
worked with
got Giannis,
Giannis.
yeah.
He worked with Giannis, so I wonder if that would be it.
Plus, a lot of their role players are coming up on contract too.
Mhm.
So maybe you could still come in. I thought
He wants a
that
little
the bench-
Middleton action.
The bench was the problem this year with the Sixers.
Oh, it
I
seems to
thought
be the
that-
problem
I
every
thought
year.
that we had the best starting five, but that the bench was the weakest of the top three teams. So that Boston really had the best bench, and that you need a bench to win a championship.
Mhm.
So I would like to steal some of Milwaukee's bench if we could, and I think you can do that by taking their coach.
Debo's also saying that guys are being critical of Embiid. He needs a real team for once.
Hell yeah, I'm being critical of Embiid.
But do you agree
Like, I
with?
understand he's the MVP, but nobody should not he shouldn't be on this pedestal that he can't be criticized. Like, he did not play good in the playoffs, or at least in this Boston series. He did not play good. Why should he be held to a different standard than the rest of the team? Like, listen, James Harden. James Harden. What are we saying that he shouldn't be criticized either? Like Joel Embiid, like I understand that he's homegrown, he's the MVP. I've said all of it to nauseum. He has to be criticized as well.
I agree. And really, when you think about that, like I think as he makes that statement, the first person that came to my mind was Andre Iguodala. He was somebody that we were being overcritical about.
Sure.
Embiid is
He was
not
also held up
somebody.
to something that he shouldn't have been.
He
Right.
also went to the Warriors and was a Finals MVP.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and won 3 rings.
Right.
So let's,
yeah.
you know, he's doing.
But that
just
was
fine.
because they finally put Iguodala in the right position.
Right.
Iguodala is not going to be your number one guy ever in any
No.
place, and that's the problem. When he was able to shine and have a good game,
But
kind
he
of like
got
a
to the 3rd round with a really crap team,
Yes,
even
he did.
though the Bulls got hurt and we lost in Game 7. I mean, it was Iguodala who led that team.
Mhm.
So at least we
Absolutely.
made it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Michael Carter Williams.
Debo saying nice show, gentlemen. He loves the show. Debo, thanks at that subscribe
Thanks,
button.
buddy.
Check out all the other great shows here at EoP. Real quick, guys, because we're getting a little late here. I want to remind you. Speaking of EoP, here's the great lineup of all the live shows coming up. Tonight was a heck of a night. We had Party on Broad, Philly Press Box Radio, of course. Tonight, EoP live. Tomorrow we'll have the Attacking Third talking about the most recent Union game and everything coming up. Plenty of fighting finals going on, and the weekend ahead of us with the Patterson Fanatics, PM in the AM, and all across all the time. We're going to be talking a little Eagles, and I have an updated graphic coming with the dates and stuff on it. But the Ultimate Bird Trips with PhillySportsTrips.com is coming. What?
Take the comment down.
Oh, did I forget the comment? I can't see it over there. So check it out. Go to PhillySportsTrips.com, and they're going to have all the away games and more. Check it out. And if you want to get away to see the Phillies, even though they're not doing great right now, go to PhillySportsTrips.com and tell them EoP sent you, because you will probably most likely be on a trip with Jamie if you go to at least one of them, because he's on most of them. And I want to bring this up because this is the Eagles schedule that got released and kind of fell under the radar because the Sixers were on their playoff run, but now we get a chance to break it down. And I built it out this way purposefully because that middle column to me is going to be all the stuff we heard about the Eagles. Oh, they never played anybody really good last year. They played all crap teams. Well, they're going to be up against a gauntlet come midway through the season, and we can run through this real quickly and get your guys' opinions on everything. But let's just start with this real quick, guys. What do you feel, Joe? I'll start with you. Final, and I know this is just scheduled. This everybody's healthy.
Yeah.
What's your record in the end of 2023 regular season?
I'm going 11-5.
Jamie.
Well, you'd have to go 12-5.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, yeah, 12-5.
I was about 12-5, but now as I look at the schedule, it's the first time I'm actually looking at the schedule like this. I mean, I see us going 4-0 to start, maybe 5-0.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we could maybe even go back to 14-3.
I think 14-3 will be hard with this one. I'm actually had myself earlier. I was talking to 12-5, just like Joe. So, because what I do now is I used to go through with, and go one by one. But what I do now is I look at it and then I kind of find what I call my 2 letdown games. And looking at this middle column, it makes me a little nervous. But let's start with this. We have it up on the screen, guys. Feel free to comment in. We'll throw it up. Let's look at, they start off Sunday, 4:25 game in New England. It's Tom Brady Appreciation Day or whatever, whatever the heck it is. I still think they should bring Nick Foles up to that game. That'd be hilarious.
Not a bad idea.
The ultimate troll move from the Philadelphia Eagles. But Jamie, I'll start with you. Just everybody's healthy. Your heart of hearts. Where do you go with New England? In New England,
We crushed them that game.
you're going crushing them.
Yeah, and the reason why.
Joe, you keep track of this. You want me to do it?
I can do it.
Every time, even happens here when they gave the MVP. Every time that a team has some type of ceremony at the beginning of the game, and very rarely does that equate to a win. So,
especially the one of this, they're going to make a big deal.
They're going to be celebrating the Patriots of old and not even care about what the Patriots on the field look like.
Can I ask you a question? Does Mac Jones fall and they do a thank you Tom Brady day, and then Tom Brady ends up playing quarterback for the New England Patriots at one point during the season?
Not a chance.
I know, I'm just messing. Joe?
Yeah, I can't see the Eagles not, I mean, Hassan Reddick and Nolan Smith, they're going to have a field day with Mac Jones. So, I mean, I'm going to leave it at that. I mean, it's an absolute Birds W.
All right, I'm gonna go W as that well on that one too. Then they have a shortened week. They get their first Thursday night game, and it's Thursday night in Philadelphia against the Vikings. I'll start on this one, Joe. You know my love for Kirk Cousins
Yes,
is,
sir.
but this putting that aside, I don't see how Minnesota has gotten much better. I mean, you have Justin Jefferson, but you still have Kirk Cousins throwing that ball. So I'm going to go. And if this defense is half as good as I think it could be, I'm going to go with another W for your Eagles. Being a short week, I think plays in the favor of the home team as well. Jamie?
I would agree with that. I think that it's going to be the home opener on a Thursday night. I think the fact that the Eagles aren't starting the season at home is a big deal. I think that they crush them. Kirk Cousins is a coach killer.
Yeah. Once again, it's Kirk Cousins in prime time. We all know what Kirk Cousins does in prime time. It's
right.
It's
You're right.
It's the second year or season in a row where the Eagles are playing the Vikings week 2.
Mm-hmm.
Last season, it was in Minnesota. This season, it's in Philadelphia. It will be the same result.
And what was last year was Monday night, right?
It was Monday night.
Monday night.
Thursday night.
Right. I do hate that it's a Thursday night. Week 2 to open up the season.
And that's the other thing as we go along this. I mean, they only have 3 1:00 games all season long. Anybody else?
I did not even think of that. Yeah.
And they have. My other thing is the new rule is channels have nothing to do with flex now. You can flex anybody.
Oh yeah, that's right.
There's a new rule. So
Yeah.
So a Thursday night game could be moved to a Sunday night, and a Sunday night game Sunday game could be moved to Thursday. I mean,
No, I thought that was part of the rule.
or maybe not
They can't
Thursday,
switch
but
the days. They can't
only
switch the
Thursdays
days.
can be moved to Thursdays. You're right. But any other game can be flexed. It doesn't matter if it's from Fox to CBS to channels. Don't matter anymore.
And
All right.
teams can play 2 Thursday night football games.
Yes, which I find that kind of ridiculous. And we'll get into that a little bit later.
Dallas does it every year.
Oh,
That's true.
They have
Yeah, that's true.
Thanksgiving. Yeah, them and
Do we ever
Detroit.
find out who's playing the Black Friday game?
Yeah, it's the Dolphins Jets game.
Okay.
I think it's in Miami.
Okay.
Tampa Bay.
Why is this game at 7:15?
It's the two Monday night games.
So is it not considered Monday Night Football?
It's Monday Night Football, but it's the first of the 2 Monday Night Football games.
Okay.
I think that's why.
So that's why you didn't put an M and F?
I probably forgot to put that. I just put it on Monday.
Because you're confusing me now, Al.
Sorry,
There's
but
no MNF and it's 7:15.
it's one of
I'm all over the place.
it's
here.
one of 2 Monday Night Football games. That's what it is. I believe there's 2 that I think the first 3 weeks are doing 2 or 4. Might even be 4 weeks. I have to look. I think that changed as well, where they're going to have 2 Monday Night Football games. But who's Tampa Bay's quarterback? Don't know. Don't care. And
Baker Mayfield.
I know.
Okay.
I'm being sarcastic.
Facetious.
Yeah, but I go with the W on this one as well. It's and I know Homer, with all that guys, but it's just hard to
It's
kick
going to
against
be a
them.
great trip with Philly Sports Trip.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
yeah.
going to be. That's a 4-day weekend.
You guys
We're
going back to
beautiful.
Tampa
down
Joe's,
there.
aren't you?
Well, we're going to be doing Tampa Joe's. I'm going to leak something that I'm not supposed to.
Uh-oh.
We're going to have this amazing booze cruise where we're having a
Nice.
number of different players come out on
Really?
the cruise with us and stuff like
I know they've done the
that.
booze
I know I'm
cruises
not
before.
supposed to leak it, but yeah, tough Vince.
Well, I know. I know.
Oh, I just got
the
the graphics. He
graphics.
said you're fired.
I know the graphics. Has the players on the side. I believe Hollis will be there. Of course, your stuff will be there. Now, I know some of like Jason Avant's going to one. David Akers is going to one. Is there a second? Is there a second former player going with Hollis on this trip? And you?
Well, in Tampa, what's his name lives down in Tampa?
Yeah.
Lineman, offensive lineman, big guy. Trey Thomas.
Trey Thomas.
Thomas,
Okay. Yeah.
Thomas lives down there.
Oh, okay.
And also, I know that Vince is also right around there. Vince Mapali is also
Does he live down there?
so yeah, he's,
Okay.
he's
I did see his
fairly
name
close.
on one of the.
So I
Okay.
wouldn't be surprised if he was there at that one too. Like that's going to be because we're there for 4 days. We're
Mhm.
going down there from Friday to Tuesday.
That's awesome.
So it's going to be a big event, So that's going to be probably the signature trip this year. Since
Okay.
I thought we were going to go wind.
There's a lot of ex-players down there because I know Wilbert lives down in like Sarasota, which is like 20 minutes away from Tampa and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, and Wilbur Montgomery's a great guy.
Oh, he's awesome. I got to know him over the years, and
I got to give him a ride back from Arizona, where they were staying in Arizona, back to his hotel.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
Super Bowl. It was an hour and a half ride.
Him and his wife.
Him and his wife.
His wife's an amazing person too.
Yeah.
Like
And
they're
both
so
very
nice.
down to earth, real people.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
So,
Yeah, I helped Wilbur with something. She came up and gave me those giant hugs. Didn't even know who I was. I'm like, okay, cool. So the next one is the first 1:00 game on a Sunday, Washington.
Can we all say W for that? I'm keeping track of these.
Yeah, I said W for Tampa.
You better say W. You're gonna be there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I'm gonna go with the icon on the screen. It's gonna be a W, but not the one Washington wants to see.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go W. I just don't. This
I
team.
tell you, that'll be the first time I actually see a win in Tampa.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah,
I've been there 3 times. All 3 have been losses.
Jeez.
got to break that streak.
First time they ever
Maybe
showed
you
me-
should
Field
go.
goal.
First time they ever showed me on TV, it was that 110-degree
Yeah.
weather and a 63-yard
I know.
field goal.
I know the exact game you're talking about. Yep.
yeah.
I had a bunch of friends down there, and they're like, "We traveled down there for this shit."
Maybe you shouldn't go. Just saying, as a fan. No, I don't. Does Washington scare anybody? I mean, in any which way? Like, do you think
Sam Hale? Absolutely not.
Do you think they made any improvements anywhere to? I mean, and they're talking about not, moving on from Chase Young at one. They're not renewing or
They didn't pick up his fifth
pick
year.
up his 5th year. So
I think they're going to be a 4-win.
you think it's gonna be that? Okay.
I think that the
You
entire.
think Josh Harris is gonna Sam Hinkie the Washington
I,
Commanders?
I think that's what's going to happen. That they are going to lose a lot of games, and that he's going to clean house and change the name.
Riverboat Ron out.
Change. Yeah, everybody gone, including the name. I think they're going to change to Washington. Yeah, I wouldn't
Just
be
go back
surprised
to
if
the
they go
football
to the
team.
Sentinels.
I mean,
Okay.
have you ever heard of a team like
Better than the
Shane
Commanders.
well, the problem they didn't do that because there was already a Washington Sentinels, like I don't know, like a cross team or something. That was one of the reasons they didn't go with
You
it.
know what? Who cares?
No, I'm not saying. I'm not saying they won't do it.
I want the Shane Falco jersey. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I definitely want that. But that's.
But how many? Would it be like unprecedented? I guess it is unprecedented to have a top pro sports team change their name from, like, this would be the third change in what, 5 years, 6 years?
It'll be their fourth
Was the
name in
Redskins,
5 years.
the football team, the Commanders, and then whatever else,
Right.
Sentinels or whatever else they call.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they go with like something like the Hogs or the Wild. Like I keep saying the Wild Boar just because I like teams.
Washington Wild Boar. That's a terrible name.
No, I like that name, and
I
think
just think
it
they
brings
stick-
back to the Hogs and stuff like that. and
I think
it's-
they stick to that whole military capital, like, regime, like that kind of, that's like the Sentinels or the Commanders type situation. I just find it hard that they would be. It'd be like that the one group of guys. You know how like the Phillies used to have, like, the Wolf Pack and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see them giving that name just based on what they called, the Hogs, or the men that dress like women with.
The Sweat Hogs.
There was the one where they had the pig
Oh, that was
faces.
Welcome Back Cotter.
Yeah, right. We'll get to that later. All right. So your next game is a Sunday 4:00 game in LA. Do the Rams get better? I mean, is this their first loss? Because I can't keep saying W, but I just don't see this as a loss. I don't know. You guys convince me.
If I were to go with an early loss, I do think it would be this one.
Because I have to travel to the
They have
left
to
coast.
travel, and I don't know. I mean, the Eagles are so good. They're
Yeah.
so damn good.
Well, the NFC's
And I just
not.
like I understand they got Cooper Kupp,
Mhm.
but outside of that, like, is Matthew Stafford really scaring me?
No. And is he really healthy?
That, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't see me picking the Rams simply because of Cooper Kupp. So I'm going with
And they didn't
5-0
make any
with the
big
Birds.
splashy moves because they didn't have the money to do so. So, like, the team myself, overall, like, defensive, offensive, I don't think made big jumps.
Mhm.
Looking back at their draft, nothing that really, like, I'll say they,
Aaron Donald's gone.
yeah, like, there's a lot of,
What's his name? What the hell's his Jalen Ramsey's gone.
yeah.
I mean, who really do they have anymore? Like, yeah, this is the Birds going 5-0.
All right. Shane,
That's what
Sam. All right.
I got the same thing going.
All right. So the Brett Favre led New York Jets in New York Sunday, the next Sunday, 4:25.
You did just say Brett Favre, right?
He
Brett
did,
Favre,
and I thought,
Aaron Rodgers.
I thought you did it mistakenly.
Yeah,
funny.
because-
I wanted to
yeah,
make sure
yeah.
that he.
It's pretty funny that they both did it, and that's
I
probably why I
thought
did
you
it.
did it
But
as
no,
a joke.
it was totally on purpose. But Aaron Rodgers led Jets. Hey guys, guess what? He was at a basketball game in New York. Who cares? But Joe, do you have faith in Aaron Rodgers? And I know you normally don't. And do you think the Jets are a better team?
Oh, the Jets are for sure a better team.
Okay.
Are they a playoff pushing team? Absolutely. Are they going to beat the juggernaut of the Eagles? Absolutely not.
Do you think they're
6-0 Birds.
Do you think in their division, knowing how good the Bills can be, how good the Dolphins could be, New England probably the bottom of the barrel at this point on paper? Do you think they push the playoffs?
Yeah, I can see them in
Okay.
a playoff position.
James?
I do.
Not sure yet.
Not
I gotta see how cohesive they are.
But it's in New York. You have to pick a win-loss.
I think this is our first loss.
Okay.
I take this as our first loss. It's the second week in a row on the road.
Mhm.
I think that catches
Good
up
point.
to them. I think that they sniff themselves a little bit here. This is a little bit of a gut check, and I think it's a lot closer of a game than it should be, and that the Jets probably will win it. You know what
So
I mean, like I'm saying I'm hedging towards that.
you're
way.
hedging your bet there. Okay. I will agree, but not in the same exact way. I think there's going to be a letdown game, but I think they squeak one by the Jets here. I think it's a little closer than it should be. I'll agree with that, but I think they win. I think their first loss comes at home against the next game against Miami. And not because Miami's a better team or anything like that. I mean, you got Tyreek Hill in there who can really, take the
And
top off.
Jalen Ramsey, who
And
I just
Jalen
said.
Ramsey. And it's a Sunday night game. I just think it's going to be hard for them to go undefeated that far out. Even though it's at home, the home gives them a little bit, but I think that's a tough win. So
The Eagles won 8-0 to start the season last year.
True, but they didn't. I'm just saying Miami's not much unless Tua gets another head injury or something. I mean, that will make a decision how healthy Tua is and how well this team's playing. But you still got Hill, who's on his last year, right? He said he's retiring after this year, or
Did he? I didn't even know.
I think he announced
But
it.
he's two more.
Two's a
He's gonna
two.
retire at 30.
I wasn't sure if he said 1 year or 2 years. If you need a water bottle, bud, just one in there. But I think this is where if they're gonna have to this is where I said I go through the thing and I look for letdown games, and this is going to be a letdown game, and I will go with an L here.
Yeah, I'm right on board with you. I think this is their first loss as well.
I think this is the comeback game after their first loss, and that they win this
Okay.
game.
Next one is the next 1:00 game. It's in Washington. 4 weeks later, they play Washington again. I kind of agree with Jamie. I think they're going to be a bad team. He thinks it's going to be on purpose. That's cool. But I'm going to say that'll be a get right game until the murderer's row that they're about to come up against. Joe?
I just can't I understand that the Eagles lost to not Sam Hinkie. What the hell is his name? Heineke. Last year, and it was just an awful game. Maybe the wake up call that they needed. I just can't see them.
Wait a minute. You said Hinkie. You might be right. Would that be weird? Because didn't he go to Denver at one point after his Sixers career?
Something like that.
Wouldn't it be funny if Josh Harris brings him into Washington?
Oh, Jesus. Well, anyway,
sorry.
I can't see the Eagles losing to. I mean, much like last year, I can't see
until proven wrong.
Especially after losing to, in my opinion, the Dolphins. They're winning this game.
We always seem to take over that stadium too.
Yeah,
that was a good time last year. That was a good time at Philly Sports Trips.
We had what 1,000 people go last year.
Yep.
This is
it was more than that in the
How many buses? We had 20
the
buses.
Miami
or
game
so?
is right after my birthday, so this is like my away trip, birthday trip. I think they crush them. I think they absolutely they have a bigger chance of losing the game at home on October 1st than they do losing in Washington. I think that when we go down there, we own that stadium, and they come away with.
What were we calling it last year? Lincoln Financial South.
Oh, like that, yeah.
Could have been, yeah.
All right, so like I said, it kind of gets. This is where it gets a little. Thank God the buys in this row somewhere. But the next game is a Sunday night afternoon game with Dallas coming to the link. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, they're going to split with Dallas. I think again this year. How it works out to me, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to think it's going to be home, and they'll win their home game. Dallas will win their home game. So I'll put a W down for this one.
Jamie, you go. I got to think about this one.
I know
they're going to flex this game. This game's not going to be at 4:00. It's going to be at 8:00 at night.
They have 2 Sunday night games against Eagles, Dallas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, because
I like where Jamie's head's at.
yeah,
Yeah, me
they,
too.
they always are going to put them at prime time, and I think that now that they can flex whatever game they want to, they did it purposely for these types of reasons. So yes, I think that this is going to be Sunday night. I think that we beat Dallas here. I think that it's not even going to be close. I think that Dallas has taken a step back. I know that Cowboys fans don't want to hear that, but I think they've taken a step back, and I think that they wind up being the number 3 team in the division.
Wow.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me with the Giants taking a step forward. I mean, I like Brian Daboll. I wanted him for the Eagles coach before Sirianni got here, but he didn't want to leave Buffalo at the time. They definitely had probably one of the better drafts, if not the best draft on paper
Mm-hmm.
in the NFL, and they definitely took a big step forward last year. With still Daniel Jones at the helm, and he doesn't really scare me, but I agree with you. I honestly do think New York might edge out. It might be between the two of them to get that second spot or that wild card spot. But yeah, you make a good point, Joe.
I'm gonna go with a loss on this one.
Okay, it's fair. It's fair.
And I don't know. I always tend to, like you say, like split.
Mhm.
And I always go with the home teams get
Yeah.
the W.
Mhm.
I'm kind of bucking the system with that right now. And I'm going to say that the Eagles take the loss on this one because they got to go down there to AT&T Park and get a goddamn win.
Mhm.
So I'm picking.
You're gonna flip it around.
So
Okay.
I'm flipping it around on this
Fair
one.
enough.
We actually don't do too bad down.
Right.
I mean, I've gone down there like we lost last year and the year before, but we won a couple years.
Well, wait a minute. Didn't we do that last year? Didn't we win away and lose home last year? Right? No, Dallas was in Dallas. Christmas was in Dallas. That's right.
Right.
Never mind. Trying to think about that for a second. So the next week is the bye week. Of course, the Super Bowl matchup, the Monday night game, Eagles. By the way, I'm going to say it again. I can't say Monday night games anymore. Maybe it's the old man in me. Don't want to do Monday night games. But Eagles, KC, and KC coming. Both teams coming off a bye, by the way. So
I didn't know that. Okay.
yeah, I looked into this once I was figuring out these picks, and I'm like, is KC because I'm like, do the Eagles do a little better because they're coming off a bye? But I looked at, I'm like, oh, they're both coming off a bye, and we know how Big Red.
That's what I was just
Yeah,
checking right
yeah, I know Big Red does well coming off the bye. James, I'll start with you, man. You were there. I mean, is this? Do they we said San Fran has that game circled on their calendar. The Eagles have this circled on their calendar, and looking for some sort of vengeance.
I'd love to say that the Eagles are going to win this game. I keep
And why is it?
believing that I think that we're going to be able to beat Andy Reid. And I feel that this game, it won't happen.
Okay.
If we play them again in the Super Bowl in Vegas,
Mhm.
I think we beat.
Fair enough.
I'm going with a loss on this one
Yeah,
for basically the same
all
reason as
three,
Jamie,
yeah.
because if you're going to beat them and you're going to play them again, it's going to be in the Super Bowl, and that's when I want the W.
I think it's going to be a knockout, drag out type game, and I think it's going to come down to a last little play, a little Mahomes to Kelsey type, maneuver that's going to be kind of a burner, and I think it's going to be a hell of a game. But I think this is going to be a loss because I'm looking at the rest of the next 5 or 6 games, and there's going to be a couple more losses coming in there. And I think what's going to happen is they will lose to Buffalo because there's going to be a little down. This is that part where we lost to Washington. We're terrible now. Look at the Titans are going to come here and smack us around. Yeah, that really worked. I just think they're going to lose 2 in a row coming off the bye. Everybody's going to be down and out about the Eagles. So I'm going to say actually KC and Buffalo's a loss at home. Unless Buffalo just completely has
Yeah, I
the best.
disagree.
Okay.
And real quick, Schuster Smith is on the Jets right now.
No, he's New England,
Good
isn't he?
question. I think New England.
New England.
I'll tell
So
you
we
that.
get him in the very beginning.
But,
of the
yeah,
season.
very beginning.
All right, because I think that they're going to have that earmarked for him as well.
Yeah, I can
They're
definitely see
They're
that.
going to smack him around a little bit.
Yeah, New England.
Yeah, in
Doing
fact, I saw something with James Bradbury earlier where they were asking him about the Smith Schuster, like the Valentine's card or whatever, and he was like, "Oh, we'll have to, or I'll have to see how I'm feeling that week but I didn't like it." So they're going to be matched up against
Oh,
each
without
other.
a doubt.
It's going to be great.
Listen, he's downplaying it now because
Oh,
he
yeah.
wants to smack him on the field. There's
course.
no need to smack him beforehand.
Of course. So yeah, you got an L for Buffalo. And I'm going W. James, you're going W?
I'm going W.
Yeah.
Their coach just doesn't know how to beat the Eagles.
Okay.
Oh, he's a former Eagle.
Yeah, that's it's like sometimes when you come home,
And I'm not sitting here going, "Oh, Buffalo's such a better team." I honestly think Buffalo takes a little bit of a step back. I mean, they seem to like they're regressing a little bit, just tiny bit every
Sure.
year. They made some good moves. They have some good players. Josh Allen is still Josh Allen, but they just. I think it's going to be a close game, but I can see this is my letdown game number 2 of the season. Buffalo in Philadelphia.
Is it a letdown though if you lose to Buffalo?
Because it's at home. That's why it's a
All right.
letdown to me.
Yeah, and I think they win this one at the letdown next week against the 49ers.
You think? I don't want to. Maybe part of me just doesn't want them to lose that.
I understand.
Yeah, no.
But I think that the 49ers are going to want that game a lot more. I also think that could be the game that determines number 1 seed.
That early?
That early.
In the NFC, you think that's
in the
going to
NFC.
I honestly don't think the
San
Niners are going to be that good of a team this year. I mean, I get all the hubbub last year.
They lost to Miko.
Who's their quarterback? Is it Trey Lance? Is it
No.
Is it
It's Brock Purdy.
Purdy?
Oh, by that week it should be Brock Purdy.
Okay. Okay, so there's that. They don't have D'Amico, like you said. They're probably their drafting was terrible. I don't know if they were bottom of the barrel in the draft on paper.
The one thing you have to worry about is Javon Hargrave. I mean, although he doesn't know the system anymore because Gannon's out,
yeah,
you still have to think that he's going to have a little bit of know-how.
I honestly think San Fran's not going to be that good. Maybe they'll be a little better because look at their division. They got Arizona, who I think is not going to be good at all. They got the Rams, who I don't think is going to be great. In Seattle, I just you prove me wrong, but I'm not sold on Seattle right yet.
Yeah, my whole thing with San Fran is I had absolutely no worry going into that NFC Championship game last year.
And they're a better team.
And if Brock Purdy played the whole game, I honestly think that they would have buried him the entire game. Why would I now, if Brock Purdy's back, worry about him leading the San Francisco 49ers, knowing that they've lost a few people, knowing that they've lost their defensive coordinator? I'm going Eagles all the way. At home? I mean, come on.
I said, like, I was on a Twitter war with somebody, and they said a couple Niners fans, because I was like, you guys are a bunch of whine. I'm tired of the whining. Just come out and play and see if you can do it on the field. And I was like, they're like, well, Brock Purdy didn't get hurt. I'm like, fine, I'll give you 3 touchdowns. What's the result still?
Right.
Go pound sand. Will you still win? You know, like, I gave you 21 points. You still lose. Get lost. You know, like, get out of here.
It's amazing. Like, it's just, like, especially, and I understand that, like, the whole, maybe the Niners may want it more. They look at it as a revenge game. Yeah. Maybe the Eagles don't. But I'm telling you, if they keep squawking, if they continue, I mean, it's been all off season. These guys, these players, Debo Samuel, like, say, oh, our number 1 enemy right now is the Eagles. Like, first off, why? Like, don't you think what Josh Johnson or Jackson, whatever the hell his name was before he got hurt and blah, blah, blah. Like, why are you talking down on him? Why are you trying to break him down and his performance in that game just to say, you know, you're behind Brock Purdy and you think that you would have had a better chance with Brock Purdy, a third-string quarterback, your third-string quarterback from that season? Like, why are you beating down your other teammate to make Brock Purdy seem like he is an Aaron Rodgers? He's not. I don't get that all god darn off season. It's been the Niners whining, crying.
He didn't play 1 snap on defense.
No, and then even before the schedule came out, there was usually, you know, one of the big playoff games as a rematch early in the season. You got the Niners fans saying, oh, well, it better not be Eagles-Niners early in the season because we need Brock Purdy back. It wouldn't be fair. It's not our complete team. What are you talking about? It's still your third-string quarterback that you think that is going to take out the juggernaut of the Philadelphia Eagles?
Listen,
my God.
I thought Dallas fans were delusional, but wow, San Fran fans are
taking the cake on this one.
Yeah, so we'll move a little faster because I know we're getting a little late here. In Dallas, Sunday Night Football. James, I'll start with you, bud.
I have this as a win.
Okay.
I have them beating this. Like I said, I think San Francisco's a loss. I think Dallas is a win. I think that we sweep Dallas this year.
And this is where I told you, like I said, this is where people get down. I think they lose 3 or 4 games. They win against San Fran, but lose against KC, Buffalo, and Dallas that away game. That's why I mean this because you always know there's going to be a down part where I mean even if you win 12 games, there's going to be a down part.
I think we sweep Dallas this year, and then we can't seem to win, not even a sniff.
Mhm.
Seattle.
Okay. Seattle is a tough win for them. Again, I'm not sold on them. I'm just not sold on them.
I'm not sold on them either, but
Yeah.
they just.
But
they
you're
have a
right.
mental block.
Traveling to Seattle, it's never been a good thing for the Eagles. Even like the games were close, we still just couldn't get over the hump.
Yep.
I think about that. What's that? The Carson Wentz game where like he had like that amazing throw where he ran across the other side of the field and threw across his body and hit him for like 50 yards or some craziness like that.
I think that was Nelson Aguilar too.
Was it? Yeah,
so.
Yeah. You might be right, but and they played the Rams. They stayed on the West Coast, and they played the Rams.
That's right.
Yeah. So I see what you're saying, and okay, I could go either way with that. I can agree with you on that. You make a good point. I can see them losing in Seattle, winning Dallas, but they're going to win or lose one of those two games.
This is my letdown game of the season. I'm gonna think that they can go into Seattle, Geno Smith have a field day with them, but I do think this is going to be a loss, and this is my letdown game for the season.
Does Seattle have a little? I know they like, oh, it's the Legion of Boom up there, but do you think just how far away compared to the other teams are, and how much traveling goes into Seattle?
It's possible.
Gives them a little bit of an upper hand.
I don't want to hear anything about the 12th man. I think all that.
But you know what?
Stupid.
I mean, they have a strong.
Have you been to Seattle?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say.
And to be honest, out of all of the football fan bases that follow me, Seattle's the second biggest.
Oh, nice.
So I actually am. I'm very close with a lot of.
Yeah, well, the
12s.
girl that used to do the show with wasn't she?
She was a Seattle
Okay,
fan and
that's
stuff
right.
like that. So, yeah, and they have a really strong base, and I know that's a really loud stadium.
Mhm.
They don't seem to do well in loud stadiums. Like when you think of why they lose in New Orleans and why they lose in Kansas City and why they lose in Seattle, it does do something.
Mm-hmm.
We know what it's like when we own that loud. When somebody else owns that loud, that electricity is felt.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that especially, they're always going to be in contention. I thought last year they were going to suck.
Yeah. They should have
that-
beat the Niners in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So my thought is that that's going to be a loss.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
I can go either way with that.
Well, if I'm keeping record, I need a.
All right, I'm gonna go. I'll go with him. I'll take the Dallas win, Seattle loss. I'll go. He convinced me.
So you have the Dallas sweep.
Dallas sweep. Yep.
I have a Dallas sweep.
Because because here's my thing is, and the next game is the Giants game. This is the Christmas game, so that's why it's Monday at 4:30. So think of Christmas like Thanksgiving, everybody. It's 3 games throughout the day. We're the middle of the day. Which is perfect, right there in the middle of dinner time, right, guys? I mean, that's awesome. Like Christmas dinner, because we talked about this when they released this early, Joe. And Joe's like, "There's no way in hell I'm going to a 4:30 game."
Yes,
I could probably get away with it because my kids are older, but I would have to probably bring them, which makes it fun. No, I'm just kidding.
I did talk to Lex about it after the show last week.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Eh.
Yeah. It's not looking good.
He's like, I gotta work on my sweet talking.
Well, she was like, "Well, what did you tell Al?
How good of a present she gets in the morning?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good. I had that ticket on standby, Al.
Joe, you should like wrap whatever this nice present is in Eagles wrapping paper that says, "I love doing it."
Yeah. It'll be about 8 inches long.
I'm going.
Think about how many presents are going to be given away as Eagles that game.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
That's absolutely.
She better surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Maybe that's why she
said.
Maybe that's why she's playing it up. She's trying to make you feel like you have no chance, and then boom, it makes a surprise.
I just had the best idea. I'll bring her.
Okay.
All right, grandmoms.
You
gotta watch the kids.
Your Christmas present to her should be Eagles tickets.
Oh my God, that's such a good idea.
It's the complete workaround. You just found the loophole.
That's a great idea.
Actually, and you could do the double special here, where you could do Christmas and New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
could do that.
Absolutely. So where I am, I think they win this Giants game. I think this Giants game's a win. I'll tell you that because I think they lose the last Giants game because I think it's a not a meaningless game, and that's why they will split with the Giants, but they'll win the one that means more.
I can't stand that they're playing the Giants this late. I've said for the last 7,
I
8.
feel like it's always that like that.
Well,
Though.
it's usually Dallas.
typically.
Yeah.
I wonder. Do you think this is the NFL telegraphing that they think Dallas is going to be a worse team, and they put because usually the Giants are like in the middle of the season, but again, like 3 or 4, like kind of like
Holy
what?
crap! I didn't even notice that. It's Washington, Washington, Dallas, Dallas,
Yep.
Giants, Giants. Wow, I didn't even notice that.
So
normally they would have us end with 3 of them.
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm wondering if this is them telegraphing. Look at Washington's going to be real bad because they're at the beginning of the season.
That's so weird.
Dallas is not going to be as good. They'll be in the middle of the road, and they think it's going to be Eagles Giants kind of like back and forth.
Well, you would think it would be like a Washington, Dallas Giants, Washington, Dallas Giants. No, that's pretty
It'd be
unbelievable.
it would be pretty sucky though if they did that. Like if they say moved Seattle up and moved Dallas down, and they did Dallas Giants, Washington Giants, or something like that.
We had that a couple years
Yeah, I
ago.
know, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I mean, it's bad enough you get this murderous row of Kansas City, Buffalo, and San Fran. Then you're going to sit there and make us do three or four divisional games all in one shot. That's that kind of sucks ass.
Yeah, and plus, like I said, I think our season really begins the moment we play the Giants. You know, and it's I've been saying that for like since we kicked that field goal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's every year. It seems like the Giants is the catalyst to start the run.
And if you think about it, the Giants, even when they're not that good, we always seem to play them like in the middle of the season or later. They're never really early on. Washington,
I think they were like week 3 or 4.
Week
Either
3 in the Super Bowl season.
Yeah.
But since then, when was the last time we played the Giants? Maybe before, say, week 7, week 8.
I remember last season thinking, "Wow, we haven't played the Giants yet."
Yeah, and we played
Giants, Washington.
Jalen Hurts' first year. We were in New York back and forth, but one was Jets game.
Yeah.
But then they played the Giants 2 games later.
Right.
It was Giants, Jets, another game, and I think the Giants again or something like that. So we were in New Jersey, right? In New Jersey. Like 5 weeks, 3 times. It was like some craziness like that. But what do you got for me, James? Christmas?
We win Christmas.
Joe?
Yeah, W.
That's
Arizona.
a Merry Christmas.
New Year's Eve. Do you think, Joe? What are we up to right now?
Week 16.
No, what are we up to win loss wise? What am I at?
You are at.
I don't feel like I'm doing 12 at this point. Right?
You're at 3 losses.
Oh, that can't be good.
So 12-3.
Because I'm saying this Giants' second game is a loss, so that would be 4 losses, and I'm saying 5. So do they lose back to back? I gotta find somebody else to lose to then.
Well, no, I mean you could.
I gotta pick somebody to lose to.
Jamie, you got 4 losses right now on the books.
Yeah, I think that Giants game could be. The only reason why I say that Giants game may not be is because if it is for the number 1 seed, then they'll win that game. But I think if it's not, if it's already figured out, which I don't think it will be, I think that it may go down to that.
That's because you're thinking the Niners Eagles game could decide the number 1 seed.
Correct.
Right. So I think the Eagles will win that. And I think I'll just say a win against Arizona, a loss that week 17, 18. And it's because that game doesn't matter. So that's where I get my 5th loss. I'm at 12-5 there.
How do I feel like I missed one then? Where do I get my other loss from? Oh, I swept.
You
I swept
switched.
Dallas.
Yeah,
That's right.
You switched.
But then I still lost to Seattle, so I mean it should wash out.
You lost, but you went like 9-0, though, right?
No, I said Miami was going to be their first loss.
All right, so then you have Miami, Kansas City. You were thinking Buffalo.
I said Buffalo's a loss, right? Yeah.
So Miami, Kansas City, Buffalo, Dallas, and then you got the Giants. That would be 5.
So Miami, Kansas City, Buffalo, Seattle, Giants. Okay, I'm 5. Okay, I thought I was doing something.
Oh yeah, the last game.
Yeah.
Okay. That's your 5th. So we're all at 12-5.
I actually have 4. I think we win that one, and we make it 13-4.
Okay.
That's why
You think they win that last Giants game?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think they do. Even if it doesn't matter, I think that our team's going to be better than theirs.
Okay.
I mean, even if you think of Jalen Hurts not playing that last game, Mariota can still win a game against a lackluster. Although
I don't know.
I do got to say the Giants improved last season, and they had a really good draft as well. So they could come into like you saying, Dallas could be 3 out of 4. It could be Eagles, Giants 1-2. Like very doable.
I think Dallas makes the playoffs, but they get that 3rd wild card.
Okay.
When I look at everybody else I think Detroit wins. I think Minnesota may get that extra wild card. I think that San Francisco wins and Seattle, and then
All right,
Is
let's
it gonna
real
be
quick
the
because I know we're
Saints?
getting long. Who wins the NFC East?
Eagles,
Eagles.
Come on.
Who wins the NFC North?
Detroit.
I'm
Detroit.
liking Detroit
I'm liking
too.
Detroit too.
As long as they stop gambling.
That's why I don't think. That's why I don't think Minnesota is in the playoffs because I don't think they're going to get that wild card spot.
Yeah, I like Detroit
Then
too.
again, the NFC's weak, so you might be. It's really hard. It's so weak. It's such a drop
It
off
may be
from the top three
Chicago.
teams.
I got no faith in Justin Fields at all.
NFC South or NFC. Yeah,
See,
that's a tough one. That's going to be that division that's just bad.
I'm gonna have to say the Saints because of Derek Carr,
and I think
They have the
it's
better
gonna be
quarterback.
Carolina.
and I like Jamal Williams on that Saints team backing up Kamara, and Michael Thomas is back for another season, so I they could put something
That's if
together
he can
there.
play, but yeah, makes sense.
Maybe.
You make both. Like I could toss up between that Carolina and or the Saints, but I probably lean a little bit more towards the Saints because Carolina's still just kind of a fresh team at this point,
And then you still have Baker, who's in Tampa
Right.
Bay, who may.
like that team is going to be a team that has under 500 team go to the playoffs. I think that's going to happen.
I see. I don't think Derek Carr is a bad quarterback. I think he was in a crappy situation with the Raiders, and they just wanted him out. Josh McDaniels wanted him out. But I think like if Jalen Hurts didn't work out and they somehow swung a deal for Derek Carr, like I'd be fine with that as Derek Carr as the quarterback of the Eagles. Luckily, that's not the case. But I do think like with some talented guys around him, Derek Carr is a good quarterback.
All right, how about the West then? I'm only doing the NFC. I won't go any further.
Yeah, San Fran will get that.
Again, I don't think they're going to be as good. I don't think.
So, all right, so you're either taking the Rams or
I'm saying
Seattle.
Seattle. I'm going to say Seattle wins that one. I don't think they're that good, but I think the rest of I don't think Arizona is good at all. I think the Rams aren't that good, and I think they're kind of stuck in some cap issues or financial issues. They can't really make any big moves. And who else am I forgetting in that division? Arizona. Yeah,
I mean, he doesn't want to study the playbook.
Yeah,
No,
Kyler.
I'd rather game.
Between you have a quarterback who care less about trying to get better and the dingus of a coach, I'm
Right.
kind of I'm out on them. I think they're probably
we kind of just blew over the Arizona game, but I mean, just to mention it real quick, I mean, it's the return of Jonathan Gannon. I mean, maybe it's going to be so far into the season that all this stuff that's in our fresh in our minds right now. The pew pew pew.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that'll just be all laid to rest by then. But Jonathan Gannon's in for a rude awakening coming back to
I
Philadelphia.
think he might be.
I can see that for sure.
He's not gonna be like Urban Meyer's not gonna get fired halfway through his first season, right?
I don't think he's going to be.
Not halfway through. I think he'll go through the first season. They're going to be like, yeah, you took a team that was about 500 and went like 4,
rammed into the ground. All right, guys, just check out this calendar here because you can start planning out your Philly sports trips. Trip to any one of these amazing away games. Go to phillysportstrips.com. Don't forget, if you're going to be local, you're looking for that good Christmas present, maybe it's hard to get tickets. We go to sherrystickets.com. No hidden fees. The price you see on the screen is the price you'll pay at checkout. Sans 10% because you're going to use a great promo code
EoP 10.
That's it, correct. And guys, listen, things happen. Life happens. You get hurt at work, hurt in a car accident, personal injury, criminal law. Go to cherryinjurylaw.com or call David R. Cherry directly at 610-565-0300. And don't forget, Dolan's Bar, 24 East Sellers Avenue. Go to dolansbar.com. Follow them on all this great social media options down here on the screen at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and the TikTok. Quizzo, music, great times. You never know. And we talked about it a little bit in the beginning. What a great time that was at Philadelphia. Between Jamie and PJ, you guys did a bang-up job. Jamie, tell everybody where they can find you if they've been living under that rock we talked about earlier.
You look on social media and you put in the Philly Sports Guy, or if you want to get lazy, you can go to my link tree, linktr.ee/TPSG.
There you go. If you haven't seen them, like I said, get out from underneath that rock.
Open those eyes.
Open them eyes up. Other than that, I want to thank all our sponsors. I want to thank everybody for joining in tonight, commenting in. As always, find out the rest of the lineup here at EoP. And if you're like, ooh, something looks good, but I missed it, don't worry about it. It's also podcasted for you in all your podcasting outlets, as tonight's show will be as well. So other than that, I'm Big Al.
I'm Joe Sheeran.
And the Philly sports guy.
And we out.
There's one thing I want you to do for me.
What?